All right, welcome everyone to the Heathen Queen after party, and of course, so far in here with us we have the guest of honor, Jessica, the Heathen Queen, right here.
Hello.
We also have overprotected atheist with us tonight. We also have Nidimos or Nadimos or Nidimoyos or however the fucking hell you want to say his name. He's also with us, and below me, of course, the producer extraordinaire, Mr. Mikey Fammon's with us. My very good friend from the beginning of time doing this stuff, Mr. Staggerson Jags is with us. My brother from the other coast, Mr. Stoner King now. All right, Canadian all. Anyway, Stoner King is with us now, and of course our resident student, Dr. Ben, is also with us, and someone who hasn't been in here with us for quite some time, the one and only Duke Bonanza, who's also been with me from the fucking get-go, is also here with us, and of course the wonderful and amazing Stephanie Helms. If you need a sail made, she's down. But, once again, Jessica, thank you very much for joining me for this show.
Thank you for having me and for just letting me really be my whole self, you know?
With your whole self and nothing but the self. Yes,
exactly.
Of course, absolutely.
So help yourself. Bitch.
Let's get easy now. We don't think of you that way.
Thank you.
And Heathen Queen and I are doing something special tomorrow. It's special for both of us. I think is it your first time?
Yes, my first time.
On the Sunday show? So we're doing the Sunday show tomorrow. It's Heathen Queen's first time on the Sunday show and my first time in the host seat. So people should call in. It'll be fun.
You guys get on that show, and I still haven't even done that fucking show yet.
Neil?
Oh, I can tell you how I got on it. I don't know about Ben. I got on it because of Josh.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
I got on because I went on the hang up, and then as soon as I went on the hang up, everybody's like, "Can I get you on my show?"
There you go.
It is incredibly odd to me that so many people want to talk with me. I don't really understand this, but like, hey,
do
awesome. It. Yeah. I mean, I'll take it. Also, Duke, you have been like ride or die on my Twitter account, so thank you.
You got it.
Wait. So Stags, I have my kidney stone light just for you because I still have to get through these nonsenses. Like
shotgun 3.
No, you don't.
No, I do. So I bought them. I bought them. Like I bought them forever ago because I did a stream about why not to drink your pee, and I was gonna drink this because it looks like pee. I poured it into a glass.
Does
it also taste like pee?
I mean,
it does taste like pee.
Excellent.
You have to shotgun it. You have to shotgun.
No, I'm not gonna shotgun it on stream because then it'll get everywhere on my computer.
No, just chug it as fast. Just chug like 3 of them.
But it's cold and way too carbonated to I don't want to chug it. No, because I used to chug these on my Twitch, like for channel points, and they are so painful to chug. Like they're actually painful to chug.
Yes, light.
Well, in your horrible. I have a question, Ben. In your residency so far, have you ever run into cold carbonated pee?
No, and I'm not in residency yet. I'm still in med school, but I haven't run into carbonated.
Maybe you'll see that, maybe.
I mean, it might be a thing, but
if you're lucky.
But I'm not going to chug it when I see it.
You have
Jessica, you're officially now a primal force.
Thank you. I love Pat. I love Pat.
Hi, Pat.
Thank you.
Welcome, by the way.
Take your pocket knife.
I was informed today, actually, that I am a cult leader. I didn't know that. But apparently I have a cult. And I was like, oh my God, I have started a cult.
I was hoping that Biddy was going to join us.
Yeah, where's Biddy?
Where's Biddy?
I'm on her show tomorrow, too. Surprise. No, somebody like was like, you and your woke cult that supports you, and I was like, oh my god, thank
Woke
you.
cult.
I have a cult. Oh my god.
Yep. They're just saying words.
Barely anyone who disagrees with you now is a woke person. So
I don't. I'm like, I know you think that's an insult. It's
I
not.
usually ask them to define it. I say, what does that even mean?
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm like, as opposed to like you being asleep.
Yeah.
Cool. Sick.
No, I'm woke.
Sick burn, brother. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, sorry. Hi, Pat.
Hey, thanks for stepping up in the midst of all the wars. It's really it can get awfully discouraging fighting these battles on Twitter and in various other places without seeing, your old folk just sort of jumping in and say, hey, wait a minute, don't be a fucking bigot. Don't do this shit,
Yeah.
It's really discouraging. It can be really discouraging to go days and days and days and see people from my community or some other targeted community just getting piled on by these idiots. And you gotta have pretty thick skin and a lot of tolerance and a willingness to step away every now and again. But it really helps. You have no idea how much it helps to have allies step forward and take up the banner, because it's brutal. And unless more people start doing it, these guys are just going to keep railroading it. They're not going to stop until it's costing them at the ballot box and in popular opinion.
I genuinely appreciate that very much, because it certainly does get exhausting sometimes. And I've learned I'm learning how to take breaks. I have a really solid support system. And also, I think people forget that like I have DMs. And so like there are many people in my messages with support and like thanks and all of this stuff. And that's awesome. Has nothing to do with like I'm such a great person. Like that's not what I'm trying to get at. Just that like I feel very grateful for a lot of the support behind the scenes, because I have pretty thick skin, right? I tell people my feelings vibranium, because like why do I give a shit what a bigot thinks about me?
Right.
Like
hallelujah.
Right, like why do I give a shit? But at the same time, there is a certain level of just like exhaustion that comes with being sort of in the crosshairs all the time.
You guys said Biddy Buddha.
What?
Biddy Buddha.
Is she here?
Is that who I'm sending the link to?
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
She was on my show not too long ago.
Yeah. I don't know, Pat. Are we waiting till tomorrow? I'm gonna let Pat be the boss on this one. May or may not have a little announcement.
Ooh.
And
it's always
Awoken One says you're a great person, Queen.
Oh, I love you, Awoken One. Thank you. He, I believe that's his pronoun, is regularly in my DM supporting me, and it's invaluable. So thank you.
Aww.
Something that I find to be interesting is just like all of the people that are from kind of the TikTok sphere that I've never really heard about are now crossing over a little bit into the YouTube sphere. So it's just interesting because there's this whole other world of atheist content creators on TikTok, and I just haven't heard of any of you until you come over here. I'm like, oh, right. Like there's this whole other side of the universe that I'm just
there's a dark side to the force.
Let me just put this out there, all you TikTok atheists that haven't really done much YouTubing. Come and talk to me. I can get you on the show and introduce you to a whole slew of people. So if you are a TikToker and you have a deconversion story to sell, then to sell. Come on the show.
Where's the money? Where's the money here?
I'm charging royalties for every time someone watches the video that I'm in.
Also, heyo, frustrated atheist.
Fuck Russ.
Man, Russ is here.
I believe he identifies as a man, so we're gonna go with that. This man runs all the time, even when I'm
Mike, brother.
Yep. Something's going on with the mic.
Mine?
No.
Well, now it's fine.
It's Ollie's.
He's got his fucking torch going, is what it is.
Oh.
I do not have a torch going, dude.
That's what it is. Yeah.
It sounded just like your torch. It was like a.
I don't have anything going.
Coal-fired power plant going on.
His TV runs on coal. It's steam.
Seriously, if I'm getting a lot of noise, I don't have any background noise from going.
It's
gone now. You're all good.
It's gone now. You're good.
Okay.
Slap on the wrist.
How dare you?
Quit smoking meth on the stream, dude.
Enough.
I never touch meth.
But if you want to make some,
just smokes it.
Just send the instructions.
If you were,
yeah, no, I'm surrounded by that. I'm in North Florida, so I'm in meth country.
Oh, dear God.
I was born in a town called Modesto that has come to be known as Meth-desto.
Oh boy,
that's nice.
Isn't it?
Brings in the tourists.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
Apparently, Ollie has not imagined a torch today.
There's a great James McMurtry song called Choctaw Bingo that's about this guy who cooks crystal meth in Texas, I believe.
What else is there to do, honestly?
Ride bulls.
Texas, not much.
Go to the shooting range.
Not much. I grew up in Dallas Fort Worth in the 90s.
You can cry.
It was nothing but crack and meth.
A great line in the tune is he cooks that crystal meth because his shine don't sell. You know, he loves that money. He don't mind the smell.
Can you type the name of that song in the chat? I want to kind of pull it up.
I can't figure out. I'm working off this iPad here. I can't figure out how to type anything into the chat.
It's with the private chat. Does it come up on there?
Oh, in the private chat, I think I might be able to.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can't comment. Type in the normal comments from inside StreamYard.
Yeah,
you have to do it from YouTube.
And even then, you have to be a mod to post links.
Yeah, that's right.
But I think almost all of us are mods.
I was going to say, everybody a mod?
I'm going to say, who isn't a mod?
And you get a wrench.
I'm not a mod. I'm a rocker.
Hold on.
I'm not a mod, and I'm okay with it.
Really? Okay.
In Texas, running traffic.
I'm joking. Mods and rockers. You see, I'm old. I'm trying to very ancient reference.
Yeah. Are any of you familiar? Sorry, this is totally off topic, but y'all are on Twitter. So, are any of you familiar with the account? I believe it's called Sons of Light.
No.
No. Yeah, it's
no.
That's the person I sent to Reddit's traffic. Anyway, we'll move on.
Sons of Light, you say, huh?
I feel like they earned it.
Garbage.
No, but I did see that Andrew Stratolites is trying to make a comeback.
That's funny because I muted him immediately, and he's just like punching the air, and I was like, hi.
Oh, dude, if I don't have, like, my original Twitter account was suspended, but if you could get access to that, there is like paragraphs of fucking fighting back and forth between he and I.
Oh, trust. People have sent me screenshots, and I am simply waiting for the day.
Oh, dude, he went on this whole like blasphemy laws aren't like against the Constitution because you're lying about God thing, and
I have them.
He and I had a good time with that discussion.
Yeah,
what a weird loser.
Since I've become like a public hater, there are a lot of people in my mentions, not even my mentions, in my DMs, like, here's some information. But I'm just chilling until the time comes.
Well, it's funny because it's like the same old people, man. It's Stephanie, it's fucking Andrew Stratolites. I haven't seen Joshua the Vagina Dryer Bristol on there in a while, but you know
he has been on there. But you know what's funny? Is that like he tries to be so nice to me, like so nice, and I think it's because he saw how I treated SJ.
That's a change in character because, like, back in the day, I would literally like bludgeon that guy within an inch of his life on Twitter, and he would just double and triple down. That dude is the Gish Gallopy person. Like, he's like a fucking herd of Gish Gallopy horses. If you ever watch him live, it's just like impossible. It is impossible.
I mean, today I just like posted something, 2 of screenshots. One of them said colonialism is good, and the other one said don't be fat or gay.
Oh wow!
Like that's the
Jesus Christ.
Like he didn't say it today, but like I have this like so many screenshots. I posted it today because someone was like, "Well, wait, what's your view on LGBTQ?" And I was like, "Oh, let me show you." Yeah, he's a nightmare. But now with this whole drama that's been going on with like Randall Rouser, he has been telling people like, just give Queen of Heathens the benefit of the doubt. She is made in God's image. And I was like, is that fear I smell? Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't know why he's being so nice, but I think it's because I told him, I was like,
yeah, wait till you talk. If you ever talk to him, man, it's going to be like one quote mine after another. That guy will go on like a 15-minute nonstop tangent without breathing and just like quote mine every book he's ever read. It's so ridiculous.
You could rebrand yourself the Wrath of God and see what that does for you.
Someone recently called me the Iron Fist, or no, the Iron. What was it? No. Sorry, the lead pipe of accountability. I wouldn't call myself that. I feel like that's very, whatever you want to call it. But certainly, I think I don't really give many inches to people. Like, if you're going to be this way, then we're going to talk about it. Like, that's it. But also, like, I'm pretty nice to decent people.
We'll see after tomorrow how nice
to decent people. You want to call up and I've listened to some of these call-in shows and the nonsense people say, like,
well, there's one person who was talking shit in the side chat of Transatlantic, and apparently he said he's gonna call in on Sunday. So
for me or for somebody else?
No, for me. He's coming for me.
Oh boy.
No, don't worry.
Oh no.
No, this is a transphobe. This is a known transphobe who, and I think I know who it is. I think they're under a different account now because they got banned from commenting in Transatlantic's chat. Because he harasses people, and he harassed me in my DMs for a long time, and he comes at it from like this science doesn't care about your feelings type thing, but then his science is all completely wrong, and it's funny because like this is what I study, like this is what I study.
I don't care about your feelings.
And no, but he comments, he kept commenting, and I blocked him from my channel too, because he came into my comments and like said, "I know you've menstruated." Like, that's creepy. Damn. Why would you say that to anybody? Like, do you say that to cis women? Like,
and you're like,
don't say that to people.
That's like the worst pickup line ever.
Exactly. Exactly how? You know, that's so deep. Like, how the fuck do you know anything like that?
You know that I menstruated?
Yeah.
I menstruated? Well, I know that you got off to it.
Hey baby, I know. Hey baby, I know you menstruate.
Like,
you know, it's funny because this guy like hides behind anonymity on Twitter and on YouTube. Like he uses some avatar and like this fake name, and like if he actually gets the guts to call in on Sunday, like I will be so ready because his arguments are so dishonest and circular. Like I am ready to like be that person on YouTube that gets to take his ass down. Like I'm ready for that. Bring it. I doubt he will. I doubt he will.
I want you to have your moment in your time, but if you need someone to just be a petty ass fucking bitch, tag me in. Because I don't care about arguing science. I will just hurt his feelings.
I will argue the science and I will hang up on his ass. Like I don't care.
I think we're gonna be a great pair. I'll just tell him I'm gonna go sleep with his dad. And give him a kid he actually loves.
I mean, that's one of the weirder things about hanging it out there. It's like, all these anonymous folk. It's like you can fucking find me. I mean, I'm actually on the front page of US Sailing's website right now.
No way.
US Sailing, go to US Sailing, And there I am, Trans Day of Visibility. Hi, how you doing? You know, it's like all these friggin' jerks, you know, want to call and make idiots out of themselves. It's like, you know what? You with your fake name and you with your fake scientific arguments that have no grounding in reality whatsoever.
And I've given him.
You're just making an idiot out of yourself.
And I've given him citations. Like, it's funny because these people like pretend that they like the science, and I give them studies, and it disproves their argument. Like, there was one on Twitter the other day that Katie and Arden dragged me into. Someone saying that you can't have both sets of gametes. I'm like, you know, ovotestes are a real thing. You can have them, and they're like, well, I only found articles saying that it exists in like worms. And I'm like, you're Googling obviously to not find the information, because if you go to the journal of urology, you can find these things. or the JAMA has some articles on it.
Again,
and I sent him those.
2 brain cells competing for 3rd place. Like, that's what's happening across the board, you know.
I call it
right. Brain as smooth as a marble.
From all angles.
It's
the folds in the gray matter. That's where the action is. You know, it's like you don't have any. It's like you got a problem there.
Yeah, like just go tell your mom you need dinner and get out of my chat. Bye.
Ma, the meatloaf.
The meatloaf.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I know you don't have any windows down there in the basement. But maybe go touch some grass.
You know, and on top of that, trees. You can get some Myers Clean Day soap, Mrs. Myers Clean Day soap. Like, wash some of that Cheeto residue off your fingers.
You can do it.
You know,
you can do it.
Yeah, look at the trees.
Well, I can demonstrate. I can demonstrate that God exists because butt snake.
Butt snake.
No, that's a Furby.
Listen, like, God exists because I'm his
butt snake.
Listen. I don't know if you guys have ever had any experience with a butt snake before, but it's fantastic.
Neil did
right here. Just on last Tuesday.
See, I haven't had one done to myself, but I've watched them.
Yeah, I got to watch it.
There you go.
They had me on this. They had me on this drug that kind of makes you feel like you're on the verge of falling asleep the whole time.
Yeah, they put you on propofol.
Yeah, propofol. That's what he called it. And I got to actually watch and see, and I'm holy fuck, that's what I look like on the inside, huh? Well,
I'm pretty sure I would just be like, just knock me out, please.
No, you know what? I didn't really notice. There were 2 times when it hurt, when it went around the bend of the colon. It's the only time I was like, ugh, kind of felt like a cramp.
Just around the river bend.
Sorry. Around the booty bend.
I was scheduled to have me on the pictures. Oh man.
I was scheduled to have a colonoscopy just when COVID hit, and they canceled everything. So I've been waiting. So now it's coming up for me. I'm afraid.
Go get it done.
I'm not gonna be able to avoid it much longer.
Is it as bad as folks think that it is, Neil?
And you know, the worst part, to me, the worst part's going to be the prep. I don't like that stuff. Yep. You know, I've been through that for other reasons in the past, and it's just, you know, it's just not fun.
Unfortunate, yeah, for sure. Okay.
At least you only have to, if everything's all clear, you only got to do it every 10 years. So.
Yeah, that's it. We'll see you again in like 8 to 10 years. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's if everything's normal. It's
yeah.
I know, right? But like, there's a part of me that wants to be like, really? Can't we just do it again next week?
Or about to say, or can you pay for more?
I need this for my OnlyFans, guys.
Like, listen, there are people that can help you with that for the right amount of money.
You know, that's a really
You're not going to call me
thing.
Tomorrow.
That's a really weird thing to think about for an OnlyFans. Jesus Christ.
Hey, somebody would be into it.
Here's a live feed of my colonoscopy.
Some people are into that. People are into that.
You'd be surprised.
Okay.
And not surprised.
People are into everything.
Yep.
You see them going in there, and all of a sudden they'll squirt some water just to clear out whatever's in there, and yeah, I don't want to grow you out with details.
Do you feel like free?
Do I? You know what? Now
lighter?
that I know, well, after the X-Lax or whatever the hell the Laxative give you, yeah, I was a few pounds lighter. But don't worry, I found those few pounds again just today when I was eating my dim sum. So.
How could we forget, right, Mikey?
Yeah. Lest we forget his precious little dim sum.
You can't have none.
I got nothing.
The funky Kool-Aid. I'll never forget the taste or its effects. Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
That stuff is awful. I had a appendicitis and I had to like drink the freaking dye and do the thing, and it was just like, oh, brutal.
It's gross.
It's really bad. Yeah, because they're like, don't eat or drink anything for like fucking 24 hours, and then drink this fucking dye, and it's like, oh, god damn it! Why don't I just die? How about I just die?
I'd rather eat instead of have this done now. After you made me eat drink that nasty shit, I'd rather not get the procedure. I'm opting out.
I mean, I'd rather eat than do like almost anything else.
Right.
Yeah. I actually got lucky with my appendectomy. My appendectomy was, I got this like rock star fucking surgeon who went in laparoscopically, and like I was under for like 45 minutes. That was it.
Jeez.
It was like bang, and I had no after pain. I had nothing. I was back at work like not the following day, but the day after that. It was amazing.
I mean, they're pretty routine procedures now, so it's like one of the easier ones to do.
Hey, let's all go get one.
I mean, don't go get one for funsies, but
you get scoped. Didn't you get scoped?
Well, I already ate today, so I can't. So you'll just have to go ahead and go, Neil.
I was in bed for like 2 weeks after my appendectomy, and I was 14.
Ouch!
It was horrible.
Yikes!
My niece's was really bad. My niece had like necrotic. She had actually like had necrotic flesh and stuff. It was really bad. They weren't able to do it laparoscopy. They actually cut her open. It was brutal.
Oh wow.
Yeah, you know what? One of the most common causes of appendicitis is
having an appendix.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But it's super fascinating because the appendix is actually like hollow. It can get obstructed, and you can get poop stones that lodge in your appendix, and that's how. And then it traps organisms in it, and then it gets.
Oh, great!
I will pass.
It's called a fecalith.
So
they
stop
will
pooping,
pass.
everyone.
I mean, to be honest, if you could pass, you wouldn't have the problem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they have to take it out because it gets really nasty.
Icky.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's fascinating stuff.
I was just gonna have some more dim sum too until you said that.
Heathen Queen, you can hop out whenever you want. We're like super chill.
Sorry, I'm not sure how like official this is, but like.
Oh no, we just hang out.
No, fine.
No, you can come and go as you please. I do it. Helen, I'm the host.
I'm sure I have like lots of things to say. Oh wait, what's up,
Or
Russ?
just stop your camera and then come back.
Oh, I was gonna take y'all with me to the restroom.
Oh,
do it.
Oh, we're getting a tour. We're getting to watch the colonoscopy, huh?
Be sure you advertise it on your OnlyFans.
Who's gonna give commentary? Who's the narrator this time?
Yeah, what happened? Did anyone narrate your colonoscopy?
No.
Yeah, I need to know that.
Yeah, skeptic.
It was supposed to be Seth Andrews, and he flaked out.
Seth Andrews would be ideal. What an ideal narrator that would be.
Oh my god! You know what I love so much?
There's some tech issues I wasn't able to get out there.
Someone threw a tantrum about, I don't remember, like, I'm not following Heathen Queen. And then Seth Andrews is like, I'll take your place.
Yeah.
I was like, suck it, bitch. Yeah.
There you go.
Sorry.
No, but I bet for the next colonoscopy, I bet Neil could, like, I mean, you're pretty tight with Aaron Raw. You could probably get Aaron to do it.
Aaron would do it. You'd think it was hilarious.
Yeah, Aaron would do it.
That's fine.
Big old Pella's live. I love it.
You can.
You gotta get Pat on the show now, I think.
Are you having Pat on?
No,
Oh, dude, I'm obsessed with Pat. Love him. Love you.
I think I think it's fine if Arn narrates the next one, but I want me, Stags, and Ali doing a mystery. Yeah, but me, Stags, and Ali are going to do a Mystery Science 3000.
Schedule this for the next 8 years.
We can do that.
We're going to do a MST3K version.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, it's sweet. It's our sweet 42nd birthday tomorrow.
Hey.
42.
Old man.
Old ass.
Life, the universe, and everything.
What if people in the atheist community did mystery sermon theater where they did these hot takes together?
We were gonna do
sign me up for any hot takes.
We were gonna do MST3 atheists.
Only bad sermons though, not like halfway decent ones.
Are there good
sounds
sermons?
fun.
Oh, yeah,
I've never
sounds
heard
fun.
We need to do this.
Oh, there are a lot of bad sermons out there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there's more bad ones than half decent.
I mean, I'm scheduled to do a response video to that Robert Price nonsense with someone else in the community. I will be advertising that as a response video to a bad sermon.
I will be watching that.
What's
I'm planning to do it with Gnostic Informant. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
With Neil, yeah.
Yeah, with Neil. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a watch.
What? I heard my name. What?
Sorry, what was? Someone said something about watching. I missed.
I don't know. Where I was going is, what is the drill with these old atheist guys? They're suddenly coming out as being.
It has nothing to do with being
raging
an
idiots.
old atheist guy. It has everything to do with being an old white man. Sorry,
Yeah,
but that's
fair enough.
that is the it's.
No, I agree.
I mean, I too am white. You may have noticed.
I am as well, and I'm also old. But
just so you're aware, Jessica, I did talk with Doug quite a bit afterwards about the trans stuff because my own dad is trans, and I took it upon myself to think a lot more and research a lot more about the science of sexuality and expression and become and just change. I mean, I've changed so much in the past year on how I interact with that and talk about that. And I sent Doug some resources of things to think about and to engage with to kind of hopefully educate him.
Yeah. No, and I thank you for that because I think it's incredibly valuable. It's not something that so there's this is my sort of thought process. But whether or not Doug or somebody like Doug would say this out loud, he respects my opinion less than he would a man. He's not going to say that. He might not even realize it, but it's true. And so I am very grateful for people that are willing to engage in that way and that are willing to educate, even though it's usually in a much more, maybe not even though, but it's usually in a much more gentle, sort of interpersonal way. I am grateful for you for people that do that, incredibly grateful. I am going to stick the knife in the center of the issue. But it takes both kinds. 100%. I don't expect everyone to be like me. And so it is invaluable. And I am incredibly grateful that people do this work behind the scenes and that people are willing to do that sort of interpersonal labor. I don't know what he'll think of it, but I am so grateful for people like you that do that.
Yeah, I'm all about that.
Yes. Again, my methods and what I do is not for everyone. And I get that. But I think it's incredibly important work. So bless you.
Yeah. And I'm newer to the whole community. Right. And so a lot of times I just don't know what to do or say. And so I'm just like,
Yeah. And I think we're all on a learning curve, right? I would never pretend that I am some guru that knows everything about a topic. For me personally, I would much prefer if folks listen to trans folks or if folks listen to people of color. But the reality of the situation is that oftentimes people that are bigoted, whether or not they know it, silence those voices or disregard those voices. but for whatever reason see me, and even if they don't like me, even if they hate me, are willing to somehow engage with what I'm saying, even if it's just to be offended, right? And that's fine. But like, I certainly don't know everything, and I'm not doing things perfectly. I think all of us are trying to figure that out as we go and just doing our best as we go. And then at a certain point, everybody, including myself, will fuck up. I fuck up all the time. It's just about then saying like, oh, I just learned something. I'm sorry. And let's be better. And I'm rambling. So I'm going to.
No, that's good.
But I do.
Hey guys, on that point.
Yeah.
On that point, I've got to jump out, guys. Talk to you guys later.
Okay, Duke.
Okay, Duke.
Bye, Duke. Who's Duke? I'm just kidding.
Who's Duke?
All right, y'all.
Oh, like
yeah, we're going to do a bio break there.
Listen, I just need another drink. No, I do, but I'll leave y'all here.
Yeah, we're fine. We'll carry on.
Bye.
Yeah, just so she's gone now, guys. She's totally not listening to us. We can all be honest. I'm just saying.
Oh, so sneaky.
How did she hear me? Her mic was on mute.
Damn those Bluetooth headsets.
Curse you, Tesla.
Like I said earlier, it's really important for people, who, you're not, sure, it's important for affected communities to have a voice and to be heard, but sometimes we're not very well heard. And oftentimes we don't have people who are at least willing to say, hey, I don't really know the whole story. I can't really speak for this community. But on the other hand, I can speak for not being closed-minded and closed-eared, and maybe just consider listening when people are talking, and don't feel that just because you think this way, that way is the right way, because usually it's in many of these areas, it is a one-on-one, it's a person-to-person relationship that will change minds. It's not something that in a political sphere, people are going to all of a sudden change their mind and say, oh, well, but you can inspire people to at least think. And in a lot of respects, being an activist is that, just being.
Yep.
Yeah. My schedule doesn't lend itself to opening up like any kind of daytime call-in show or anything like that. And so I do my kind of interpersonal subterfuge, as it were, in coffee shops and things like that, with a sign that says, it's okay to be an atheist, ask me anything, or got beliefs, let's talk. And people come up to me and talk to me, and it's hopefully making them think and engage on things that they're not usually thinking about.
This is an interesting question.
What does that mean?
Blair White.
Blair White, a credible voice on trans issues? Yeah, I'm familiar with Blair White. No, they don't have to be. Nobody has to be from an approved list. And trans people have various experiences. I mean, there's Blair White, there's Debbie Heathen, there's all sorts of people who have very, very different issues. I don't agree with them. I think that they do an awful lot of damage to the community because they tend to take the attitude that this was my experience and that's the only way, my way or the highway. And this journey is not there's no roadmap for a trans experience or for any experience for that matter. I've got a nautical chart behind me. There's no roadmap, but there is a chart. You can figure out where the rocks are. You can figure out where this stuff is, but you can't go in a straight line on the ocean. You can plot a course as to how to get to your destination, but you're going to have to tack or jibe to make your course there. And the problem I find with people like Blair, like Debbie, is they're dogmatic about it. And dogma never works. And people approach all sorts of issues in very, very different ways. And I think that tolerance is tolerance and listening is more important than saying, you've got to do it this way or that way or the other way.
And that's not the way it works. There's no one right way to be trans, and even taking broad categories such as people who are trans women, people who are trans men, people who are non-binary, any of us in those broader categories, like even within those, don't have the same experience. But then you're expecting to only listen to Blair White. She's a trans woman. Her experience is nothing like the experience of a trans man. She can't speak for me. I can't speak for Stephanie. We have very different outlooks on what it means to be trans for us. And you just have to acknowledge that we are different and listen to each other, and don't make it all about you. There are more of us than just me.
And every story is a fascinating story. It's I don't know how the fuck how are you gonna learn anything if you just want to have if you just want to take this as the narrative. I saw it in the New York Times, and that's the narrative. It's not how it
a lot of people do that shit too.
Have you ever heard of nuance? No. Wild.
Is that a
nuance?
Huh?
Is that like
nuance?
I've never heard of old aunts. So I had a few old aunts, but I don't know.
Never met her. Don't know that bitch. I did want to say, sorry, I'm jumping back a little bit because I was listening while I was out of the room, but I just wanted to say that I want to acknowledge that doing this work interpersonally is something that is actually very hard for me. I'm happy to talk to people, but I don't have any patience. And so, as you may have noticed, so sitting there and trying to explain to somebody else why they should view someone as a human being, I'm not good at it. It's certainly necessary. So that's what I'm trying to get at, right? I think I have a platform and I'm loud and I'm vocal. And so it probably seems like I think this is the only way to do things. But in reality, it's not that at all. It's just, this is my way of doing things. And so people that are doing this work that are not sort of in the public eye, I guess, if you want to call it that, public, that are investing this time and energy into doing the work one-on-one with people, you all have my respect. Because when I try and do this, I'm like, what is wrong with y'all? You don't, this is a person. And if you don't see that as a person, then I don't know what to tell you. And I know that it's not that simple, but all of that is to say that what you're doing is something that it doesn't come naturally for me. It's not something I'm good at. It's incredibly valuable, and I'm grateful that people are doing it. And then I will stop. Thanks for coming to my Theodore chat.
You are Theodore chat. So.
TED Talks.
I love that.
That's awesome.
I don't do that.
Mikey from
Wait,
out of the woods.
Wait, was that you, Mikey? You just radicalized white kids. I'm here for it.
Yep.
Sometimes, what was it I saw the other day?
Have you heard of Donald Glover? And they're like, what? What is this? I'm like, yes. Take in the Donald Glover. It will begin to seep in once you start watching Atlanta. And then
have you ever watched College Humor?
Yes. Community is the best show ever.
Dude.
Community is awesome.
That's how I was introduced to Donald Glover, was the College Humor Sahara Desert.
Oh.
Okay, which is like nothing to do with anything, but that's how I learned who he was, and then I was like, I'm a fan for life.
Troy and Abed in the morning.
That's me and Ollie. You can be my Abed, Ollie, man.
Okay. Abed.
Someone called me
to fuck around is human. To find out is divine.
I got called the Walmart version of Donald Glover, and I was like, you know what? I'll take that. I will take that. I will take that shit to the bank.
How's it going, everybody?
It's the best Kyle.
Stoned off my butt.
Me too.
Nice.
I want to be, and I will be shortly because
I've been smoking Mercedes hash and King Bubba all night.
I've got what is it? What do they call this shit? What did he call this shit? Blackberry Ram or something? I think it's called. I don't know.
I got Blue Dream.
Yep.
Nice.
Randolph Richardson shovel.
I have lemon cake.
Nice.
Lemon cake.
Lemony cake.
So
it's on that meal prep life.
Randolph is in the chat. Oh, hey, Randolph. Randolph was my chauffeur for the butt snake incident. So
butt snake chauffeur.
Yes. Yes. He and then I took him for waffles after because obviously I hadn't eaten for like 24 hours. So we went to the Waffle House. And
you took your
slew of bacon. No, Randolph.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Hey, Doc, you want to come for waffles?
I was gonna say.
I think
I thought you watched butt snake out for waffles.
Huh?
I thought you took the butt snake out for waffles.
Well, I mean, it was.
Why didn't you do that?
My butt snake was full.
Butt snake worked hard.
Butt snake, yeah. What are you trying to say, Ben?
He just tried his best.
He's doing his best.
And he'd be like, hey, Doc, I think we really connected here. You want waffles?
You know, there's a Denny's right down the street, Doc, if you're not. I mean, if I was your only appointment.
No. We got a little cafeteria here called the Waffle House. And that's where we
smoking some running into traffic premium.
The funniest thing was we had a stream once we were trying to explain to Phoebe just like how sketchy Waffle House is. And like because the pictures online do not accurately depict a Waffle House.
Did you tell her it's the whales of breakfast restaurants? She would have understood perfectly.
Oh, see, I didn't say that.
I went to an IHOP once.
Waffle House isn't bad. I mean, wait, welcome you're shitting all over Waffle House. What the hell?
No, the food's good, but you just don't know if you're going to get stabbed.
Not the one
I have never felt threatened in a Waffle House. And
I live in Oakland. That's how I feel everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. There's
fair.
When people are like, "How do you just like? How are your feelings not hurt?" I'm like,
"Bitch, you know where I live."
My feelings? Like, what are those?
What are feelings?
Yeah, I don't
I have one left and it's asleep.
I did feel a little threatened in 2018 driving through North Carolina. And it's like I did bring my birth certificate with me just in case. So you had to be an asshole about it. But that didn't last long, thank God.
Oh, bounty hillbilly. Well, the butt snake got all weird and made things awkward.
Butt snake did not get weird. But it's only weird because you made it weird.
Love it.
You know what the problem is? The problem is that you guys don't fully embrace butt snake in the chat. That's the problem.
Right.
I'm just saying, like,
none of you have asked butt snake how he feels.
Like, butt snake would be fine if you were into. Never mind.
Being healthy. Are you guys are you guys trying to discourage Neil from being a healthy, responsible adult?
No, not at all.
We do not shame butt snake. We do not shame butt snake
not
here.
Me.
Some people should be so lucky.
Very fun sexual practice. You may enjoy it.
People should be so lucky that they have a butt snake encounter. You know, not everybody gets a butt snake.
That's true.
But Snake Encounter sounds like a great D&D like side encounter.
It sounds like a band or a beer.
Band or a beer.
But Snake. Oh yeah, we played it. We play a game. Neil, you'd love this. We play a game on my trivia stream sometimes, and we played it this week, where it's beer or band, and I give a title, and you have to guess if it's the name of a beer or the name of a band. And they were all like super dirty yesterday. It was fun.
Yeah, I want to get in on this one.
Anal.
Yeah, let me. I can pull up the ones that I had.
Anal. Crazy ones.
But yeah, there's Nipple Mountain was one of them.
Oh, that's definitely a beer. It's definitely a beer.
It's a beer.
Is it beer? Oh, damn it!
Definitely.
Hey, Pat, I am an excellent shot. Don't tell the other leftists.
No. Don't dispel the rumor.
No.
Let them keep thinking that. Let them keep it's good for us.
One of my earliest memories is my dad teaching me how to shoot. And then after that, and like I'm a big proponent of like gun control, but like also to fuck around is human, to find out is divine.
Okay, here's one for you, Neil. Here's one for you. The title is Kiss the Anus of a Black Cat.
Why not?
That's got to be a band name.
100% band.
That's a band.
Yeah.
Me and Neil are
the anus of
Sweet baby Jesus.
Like they must have been all like
anal.
this fucking wrecked or something one night and decided to do that. Go with that name.
Hot buttered anal.
Hot buttered anal. Is hot buttered anal a band or a beer?
That's a beer.
Beer.
It's a band.
It's a band. I got it wrong last night.
Who's drinking hot buttered anal beer? Please tell me.
You already.
I won that round last night and I forgot.
Yeah.
Geriatric Hipster Club.
Oh, that's a band.
That's gotta be a band.
Easily a band.
It's a beer.
It's a beer.
Shut up.
I think I got that one wrong last night.
Yeah,
Neil, I know the name of our next band.
Butthole Surfers is obviously a band. So
yes, Butthole Surfers is a band.
It is a strong American style beer brewed by the brewery in California. It's spelled BRUERY, the brewery.
It's a hard
good
hitter.
job.
It's 12% ABV.
Holy
I'd try that.
shit.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Ben, how was your Pie of the Beholder?
Oh, it was okay.
Pie of the Beholder?
Yeah, I had a beer called Pie of the Beholder. I mean, it's a sour. I'm not a huge sour fan, but I like the name. It was good for a sour.
Nice.
I don't do the sours.
Well, my food is
Wait, I'm sorry, Pat. I would really like you to go into full drunk historian mode. Sorry, I know we were talking about sours, but this is most important.
I want to see this.
I do too.
Yeah, this
So
would be
I don't
good.
know. Y'all have probably caught some of this, or at least some of you did. Pat earlier decided that my cult now has something called the Book of the Heathens, and he was writing out the scripture of this book. Very creative, 10 out of 10. And apparently he's going to make videos about it. So I feel like we should let Pat be full drunk historian theologian. Just a thought, you know? And then I'll silence myself from there.
Oh, there was one time Pat mentioned that he knew of a Nidamos from World of Warcraft, which is actually my character. So now I'm like super intrigued how he could possibly have known that.
Interesting.
Not that I was very good. I was not a
reading the book. Listen,
I never ever played it.
It's pre-production. You know what I mean? But some of the quotes were
Preprint.
Yeah, I was certainly. He said I was, low onto the assholes because I will cast you into the fiery pits of Twitter or something. I don't know, Pat. You have to hop in. You were the author. I was simply the cult leader.
I think it's pronounced Bullwinkle.
Rocky and Bullwinkle.
That's give me some time to get 2 more beers.
Sorry, okay. I was
trying to get 2 more beers.
2 dragging him into this.
Not drunk enough.
In the Book of the Heathens.
Yeah, Book of the Heathens.
In the Book of the Heathens, Eve was actually spoken to by a butt snake trying to get her to eat an orange.
At least he didn't say a long Furby.
Oh, God. Long Furby.
Oh, it could be a long Furby. I don't know. There are different translations. You know, some of the translations say butt snake, some say long Furby. You know, it's the same thing.
They listed it from the Sumerians, to be honest.
I'm about to say, if you take it back to the ancient Greek,
the ancient Greek of the Old Testament.
Furby, and that Furby is how you know that it is possessive.
Yes.
I see.
Yes.
It's the inflection of the grammar.
And some translations say that it was an orange. Some say it was a kiwi. Some say it was a Twinkie. I don't know. It's all the same thing.
Twinkie.
So I tend to think that it was a butt snake tempting Eve with a Twinkie. There we go. That's
long Furby.
Reggie posted my long Furby emote in the Twitch chat.
Twinkies are everlasting.
Then her disciples asked her, "Teacher, our queen of the heathens, what is the greatest commandment of all?" I don't know, Pat. What is it?
What is the greatest of all the commandments?
Thou shalt smoke the weed.
Probably something like "Thou shalt tell a bigot to fuck themselves." If I'm
Jessica,
absolutely.
Jessica, how did you jump out of a right-wing worldview? Is my question to you, because it seems to me that would be even more difficult than jumping out of a Christian worldview.
Low unto the assholes, you know.
Low unto the assholes, indeed.
Sorry, I just love the Book of Heathens. So to be honest, like, largely my right-wing worldview was because I grew up in a household that was Republican, and so I was just taking whatever my parents said and like thinking, okay, I guess that's reality, right? So like my parents also thought that like Obama was the Antichrist, and I was like, are you sure that he is not just black?
No, he's Muslim. He's from Kenya.
I'm pretty sure he's just black. I think that's it. And like, he's just a nice guy. He's still a fucking neoliberal warmonger.
Right.
But he's black and nice. Therefore, you have decided he's the Antichrist because y'all are racist. I mean, that is what it is. But at the time, it didn't sit right with me, even though I was like terrified of the end times, because I was just like, this guy, the Antichrist? Like, he just seems to just be like trying not to get this country to explode, but like, okay, I guess I could be wrong. And I think the biggest, most important part of my sort of movement from right wing to, I don't even know if you would say liberal, but just to the left, was going to college and just like learning about all of these different people groups and structures. And because I studied economics, you learn about this sort of I don't even know, like financial economic structure through which to see the world, and it's fucking hot garbage. Like and none of it's even true. Like, they teach you like this is basic economics, and then they're like, year 2, just throw all that bullshit out. And so like when you start hearing people that are in power, that are in the like right wing, talking about all of these economic strategies or factors or policies or whatever, and they're just like, that's garbage. Like, I haven't even graduated and I know that's garbage. Like, what? So
we have a Gospel of Butt Snake in a verse from the Gospel of Butt Snake.
Oh wait, I want to see this. I'm rambling, so I would like to see this.
Says, consider the polyps of the anus, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. Yet I say unto you that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. The Gospel of Butt Snake.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah. That's it.
Stephanie's like, I'm out of here now.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm not sure I really answered your question, but I think college was the way.
Do you think it was meeting different people? Just having an exposure to a wider array of.
It was twofold. It was certainly that was a big part of it, and then it was also learning about how the U.S. and our capitalist society has impacted places like the Middle East and caused so much chaos and harm, and just like, I don't even know. It's just stunted that region so much. So like learning about all of this, because so much of my right-wing Christian upbringing had to do with this like very unhealthy addiction to capitalism. Right? Like somehow that's all become married, and I could get into why that is, and it dates back a long way, but there's certainly some sort of pro-slavery theologians like Dabney and Rushdoony who tied these two things together. We don't need to get into that. It's boring. We're all having fun. I'm a nerd. It's fine. But like learning about how these systems have co-opted, or Christianity has co-opted them, or they have co-opted Christianity, however you want to say it, but how they actually aren't effective or good in any way. They cause a lot of harm, sort of set this like weird sort of dissonance going off in my brain, because I'm learning about like what isn't working, yet what our religion is pushing, and like why is it pushing that. So like those two sort of things. Then also like, well, these people believe equally as strongly as we do about their belief system. And like, how does this balance, right? So like they believe as strongly as I do that they're right and they're going to heaven, or whatever their version of heaven is. And I believe that too. One of us is wrong. How do I know which one it is? And then also, and that's just two religions, right? There's so many more. And then also, of course, meeting all these people, hearing all these perspectives, and just not being able to rationalize the fact that all of these people would be going to hell simply because they were born in another country with another religion. Like, how is that fair in any way? That's all. Sorry. I'm not even sure if any of that made sense. Sorry.
It all made perfect sense to me.
Okay, good.
You know,
I'm just like,
it all made perfect sense to me. I mean, part of the reason I ask is because, you know, I came, the religious tradition I grew up in was the tradition of the social gospel, which was care for the poor, you know, right. do all of these, you know, the social service aspects of the Christian faith, which is a strain. It's unfortunately not as powerful a strain. It's not as vocal a strain or as visible a strain in these days, but it was a very powerful strain in my youth. I mean, it was the social gospel is the reason we broke free of segregation. You know, there's a huge argument to be made that was the case. Unfortunately, that's been shunted aside in mainstream Christianity these days, as far as I can tell, and it kind of sucks.
I mean, I would have much more. I would have been much more likely to have stayed in the religion if they were doing the things that Jesus had actually said, right? Like feed the poor, create housing for the homeless, love people regardless of whatever. But
paint a wall in Costa Rica.
Hey, whatever. Just go to Mexico, take a photo op. No, but like in reality, like if I was actually doing things that I thought benefited other people, I would have been more likely to have stayed in it. But what was happening was I was in a religion where the shit I was doing or the shit I believed was not for anybody else, right? It was a very like white supremacist version of a religion where the only reason you'd feed the homeless is so that you could also tell them about Jesus, right?
Yeah.
The only reason that you're doing anything is because you have a secondary agenda. And that felt incredibly duplicitous and dishonest to me. And like, I am nothing if not painfully honest about how I feel or what I think, even when it's not, great. But like, I can get behind Jesus as a person. I can get behind the red letters for the most part. I cannot get behind what they've been turned into. Because what they've been turned into is straight white American gun-toting Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
And that's garbage, in my opinion.
Jesus was born in Texas.
Yeah, you didn't know?
Oh, he's coming back in Missouri.
Wait,
That's
what?
what the Mormons will tell
Yep.
you. He's coming back to
Yep.
He's coming back to Independence, Missouri, and that's
Yep.
Knew it.
it's written in the Book of Mormon. So there you go.
In the Book of
Anyway,
Mormon, you're only allowed to write
the reason I coming from that tradition, the reason I got out was just because you don't need Jesus. You don't need God to be a decent being. And the downside of a whole bunch of the stuff that religion teaches is garbage in and of itself. It's just it's like, when you as soon as you start,
that wasn't around before anyways.
Right. As soon as you start rejecting people because of who they are, that's kind of garbage.
That's kind of shitty.
Yeah.
1970.
Sorry, I'm just cackling at that comment. But anyway, continue.
Yeah.
They found you.
Yeah.
They found you.
Hey.
The trolls.
It's fine. I love it.
I mean,
Doc, nobody
Sweet.
trolls taller than me. Like nobody trolls taller than me.
I'm gonna have to fire up the actual other thing on my other device because if I navigate away from this thing, I lose the whole program. But let's check this out here.
What?
Since we're talking tech stuff, Miss Stephanie, is it possible for you to refresh your window for the meeting because you have a really bad crackle on your mic sometimes?
How dare you ask that when you have not shared any dinner with me?
I'm not going to. Okay, this is my rib.
That's not very Jesus-like.
Ooh, ribs.
I wish Jesus had some ribs on the menu. I would have ordered them.
Well,
too.
didn't God take a rib from man and give it to woman?
He sure did, bitch.
You're a man.
Hand it over.
So your rib should go to the woman.
Yeah.
This is somebody else. This is somebody else's rib, though. If you want my rib, you can have mine.
It's a pig rib.
You're
It's
not
unclean. You can't give it unclean thing to a woman.
I'm destroying it, obviously. If you guys would let me finish. I was trying to get rid of this. This is
That's what
garbage.
she said. If y'all would let me finish.
Yeah.
If y'all are done.
It's okay. Butt Snake will let you finish.
All right. Is that any better, Mikey?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're getting
Yeah,
some
it seems to be
wicked
there,
sounds.
Oh, here
Yeah.
comes the history. Pat, let's do it.
Drop it like it's hot. You know who's really good? Like better than Jesus? Snoop Dogg.
Krishna? Snoop Dogg. Yeah, there you go.
Fun fact.
Willie Nelson.
Fun fact. A couple of my friends were backup dancers for Snoop Dogg. That's all.
No.
That's awesome.
That is awesome. Very cool.
Not me, not I, but some of my friends. That's all I'm saying. I'm a cool adjacent.
Right. I think I'm gonna start a religion based on Snoop Dogg.
I feel like maybe. Oh wait, you're in Chicago. Never mind.
No, we're not gonna do Kanye.
No, fuck Kanye. No. I was gonna say let's start a religion. I'm saying like let's start it on Mac Dre.
Well, I
But
mean,
I
as
wasn't
we all
sure
know,
if you would even know who that is in Chicago. Do you know?
No.
as we all know, God backwards is dog, so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the dog
Dog.
father.
Doggy and
All I'm
Oh.
saying, Mikey, is send me a message after this, and I'm gonna send you some music. This is all.
What the
Don't
what the
threaten me
fuck
with your
happened to Snoop? What the fuck happened to Kanye? What the hell? I mean,
He has
I'm a
mental
dog.
illness.
Jeebus.
He has
He
mental
needs-
illnesses.
Therapy.
Yeah, he
he
does.
needs therapy, and that's all I can say. Like he really needs help,
He
and
needs help.
we need to get him out of the public eye and into
yeah.
mental health.
Give me that much money and see
That guy needs like actual friends, not people who just want to be around him because there's money.
All right. Here, that's a good round the horn question. If you had
What?
Kanye West money, what's one thing, despite everything we know about you, that you were about to just totally, like, what are you about to just totally fuck up now that you have fuck you money?
Everyone, because I got hella lawyers.
You know what I'm saying? Because Kanye now has reached the point of he has fuck you money. Unfortunately, it's kind of leaving him out there when it comes to getting people to advocate for his mental health. But he's also Kanye West, and he's having good days. He can literally do whatever the fuck he wants. So what's the thing you want to do when you get fuck you money?
Oh, okay.
I know what I would do.
Hit it, Neil.
I'd buy out Elon Musk.
Oh yeah, fuck that guy.
I don't know
That
if
man
you have enough
lives
money.
I don't know
with
if you've got
money.
that much fucking money.
Yeah. Fuck you money is not that much money.
Like, I'm pretty sure Elon Musk lives in like Atherton, I think, which is like
I think he
15
lives on
minutes
Mars.
from where I live.
Hey, Neil, you know what you just did, right?
What I did do?
You just gave him even more money.
Oh, fuck me.
So suppose you have Elon Musk fuck you money. Then what do you do?
I certainly wouldn't have a child with Grimes.
You know what? One thing I would do is what the former Mrs. Bezos did.
Just
give
it
a
away.
shit ton of money to Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Give Pat that link.
Yeah. Wait.
You know,
get Pat
she
in
just
here.
gave a shit ton of money to Planned Parenthood.
I would, if I give fuck you money, I want to pay for people's transitions.
Yes. I personally want to pay for people's college education. I know that's like very, very basic, but like
Absolutely.
I grew up incredibly poor and had no money for college. And I figured it out, but now I'm in debt. So like if I could do it, I would make that a much clearer, easier path for people, pay for their housing, pay for their food, pay for their tuition. That's what I would do. And I would prioritize, to be honest, minorities and women.
Nice.
Pat, can you reach out
For
to
sure
on Twitter?
Pat,
where are we at?
get in this
Whose
bitch.
turn is it? If I had
I'm ready.
fuck you money, I would probably build like 150 or 200 disc golf courses in Eastern Canada. All
Jesus. Jesus. Yeah, that's.
I think I just followed Pat on Twitter.
Oh my god.
And,
You would,
Pat,
Ollie.
If you
I'm
follow
not
me back,
kidding.
Pat,
I would do that.
Oh, wait,
We could lobby
is
to
Pat
make
still
it
in here?
like the national
Pat.
sport and shit.
I need to know, are we like
Get it put in the
saying
Olympics.
thing or not? Pat.
We'll find out.
Yeah, if I
Probably.
had fuck you money,
gotta
I'd probably
follow me.
invest in taking flat earthers to space.
Oh god.
That'd be awesome. No.
That's
You only need to
amazing.
take them high enough in the atmosphere to see the curvature of the Earth,
They'd be
You
like the
wouldn't have
windows
to
are
take them all
curved.
the
They'd be
fucking
like the
way to
windows are
space.
curved, dude.
which is a lot
On the
cheaper.
topic of flat Earth, nobody has defeated my argument for flat Earth yet. Nobody. Right now, the Earth's surface is approximately 70% water.
Pat
That
is
water
here.
is not carbonated. Hence, the Earth is flat.
Fair point.
You little shit.
This goes
Funny.
back to a topic we covered maybe an hour and a half ago as to the chilled carbonated piss. The conversation we had with student
That I'm
Dr. Ben.
drinking right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The very same. There you go.
Crackles back.
I call it kidney stone light.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if
Stephanie,
that's
your
what that
crackles
was.
back bad.
That's bad.
But yeah, cheaper is just getting them high enough to see the curvature. That's it.
I'll give them some
Not all the way
mushrooms
to
and I'll get them
space.
high enough.
I have some in my cabinet
There you
at
go.
the moment. Oh, what?
Nice.
I sent Pat the link,
Yeah.
and that's Pat wanting to come in now. So
Yeah,
actually, I'm going to
yeah.
take my break so Pat can come in. And,
bring them out. Bring them out.
I will remove myself.
Fuck you, money. We build that space elevator.
Yeah, if we're thinking just purely selfishly, then it's like, oh, I'll just make sure my kids are well off, and then I'll just get a bunch of Legos and do whatever in my life. But you know,
I think the higher education thing.
Yeah,
I've seen Pat before. That fucking Welsh flag, because that's one of my favorite flags ever, because I'm part Welsh myself. So,
likewise.
Hell yeah. Pat, we got to get you hooked up to come on my show too. But I'm going to take my break.
I'm a wee bit intoxicated, so we're
okay.
Who is it?
I would like you to read from Book of the Heathens, please.
Shit,
I'll be back in a minute.
All right, I'll have to, I'll have to open my Twitter. It was some creative moments when I was sober. You really want me to read from it?
Yeah, obviously.
Okay. All right.
Venerate me. No, no, I just thought that the shit you posted earlier was very funny.
I thought the comment that someone made about obviously you having a cult following,
that was really funny. Yeah.
That you needed a sacred text. So I just kind of channeled my former theist self.
Love it.
And decided that it would be important.
Not the Greek Orthodox in you.
Exactly. Let's just go full indoctrination, right? So yeah, I'm looking for those now, and I will pull those up. But give me a moment.
Fine, fair enough.
Thanks for having me on, because there's
Is that a Welsh flag?
It is, and by full disclosure, it's not my people; it's my wife's people. I just happen to have it hanging on the wall because it looks cool.
There is no way.
Thou into traffic. Yeah. Runneth thou into traffic, the Book of Heathens. Amen, brother.
There is no way. There is only that which corresponds to reality, and there is only the life you're currently living. And you only follow your father if you really want to. There you go, John. Book of Heathens 14:6. There you go.
Thank you so much.
That needed more butt snake, though.
Okay.
There can never be enough butt snake.
Can never be enough butt snake.
Yes, there can.
Open your mind,
You
Ollie.
said that with so much authority.
No.
Open your
When
mind.
butt snake starts becoming throat snake, that's too much butt snake.
Oh god.
Open your mind.
Fair.
Wow.
Fair.
That was
Snake.
Thanks for that.
That one's not becoming a song. That one's not becoming
Snake.
No, that's a band name. And it's not a beauty.
What about when throat snake becomes butt snake?
Butt snake, the revenge.
Poor
And then you
Pat.
forgot it was butt snake.
Pat's not
and you
here
still
for
thought
this.
it was throat snake.
Oh no, I know. I'm here for that. I'm all about butt snake.
Sorry,
I was like,
Neil,
poor
sorry
Pat.
sorry for demonetizing this entire thing.
You think this is getting monetized?
Wait,
That
this
reminded
after
me
party
of,
is getting monetized?
No.
Yeah, I'll send you $5.
we are usually weirder than this. This is tame for us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh well, let's get into it.
That used to be.
Someone play Doja Cat. Let's get into it. Yeah.
We could totally talk about Ben's cult.
Oh yeah, I have a cult too.
Oh my God,
cult's-
we're both cult leaders.
Yeah, mine's extremely not safe for work. So my cult is of the Himalayan salt dildo, and it's also an MLM because the pain that you feel from the Himalayan salt dildo is just the toxins leaving your body, so you know it's working. We have holidays.
Pain?
Yeah, we have holidays. We have a Sabbath, but it is Buttfuck Tuesday.
Mine's not working.
And that's when you use your Himalayan salt dildo. We also have another deity who Kyle came up with, who is Julie, the sentient omni parking lot. And her consciousness shifts between parking lots, so you never know where Julie is. But the question remains, is it moral to park in a parking lot? Because you don't know if it's Julie. And then Long Furby fits in there somewhere. And Bob is my deity of the Himalayan salt dildo. He is the supreme deity. So praise Bob.
Okay, Ben. When did the Omni parking lot? Like, how long ago did you start using that?
I don't know. That was on Bolts. streams.
That was back in January, I think.
Yeah, January, because we were playing trucks. We were playing trucks, and he was looking for a parking lot, and then I was being facetious, like, all this weird atheist arguments of like, are rocks atheists and stuff that no one cares about. Yeah. So I was being facetious, and I was like, well, is that parking lot consciousness? Like, is it moral to park in a parking lot? Did it consent? And so then we got to if she's conscious. And then Kyle typed something in the chat or somewhere that was auto-corrected to Julie. And so now it's Julie, the sentient omni parking lot. My lore is weird.
Your lore goes deep.
Well, so
my lore goes deep.
I'm trying to figure out how and when I heard that before this stream.
It was probably on another stream because we've talked about Julie in a lot of places.
Okay, yeah, because it cracks me up and I think it's really funny. And I'm like, wait, I've heard that before. Wait, why have I heard that before? Which place?
You all are aware of the Church of Subgenius, right?
I am.
Yeah. Praise Bob.
Are butt snakes atheists? Yes.
No, you gotta Google the Church of the Subgenius. It's brilliant. It's a kind of
a religion,
a goof religion that's been going on since the 60s.
They used to have their book.
That's absolutely hysterical, and the key tenet of the religion is slack. You need to have a lot of slack.
Yeah.
And Bob is this image of a guy with a pipe, your typical 50s dad with a pipe. It's Google the Church of the Subgenius. You'll laugh your ass off.
Your mic is doing the thing again.
Sorry.
It is.
Damn it.
Is it loose? Do you have like a separate mic than just the one that's in the iPad?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Maybe that one's loose. Maybe do an unplug plug-in. See if it just has a bad connection.
Yeah.
Give it a little twist.
No, don't spit on it and try it again. That's not how that works.
If you just blow on it, like in NES cartridge.
Like you're trying to get Excite mic to work. No one had an Excite mic that worked on the first try. No one.
No game worked on the first try. After a while.
No,
I bet those games still work though. Give them a little spit and wiggle. They'll go. Only put it in halfway and make it click down real hard.
Question about sentient parking lots. Well, not related to. Danny the Sentient Street from Doom Patrol. Is Danny part of that religion then, since that would be related to a sentient parking lot, a sentient street?
Julie goes by many names.
Well, yeah, and I don't have evidence of a sentient street, so I would need to be convinced that there is a sentient street before I believe it. Like I can't just believe everything that I hear. Right.
That sounds kind of unbelievable, Ollie. And besides, Ollie, Ollie, that was a fucking TV show, Ollie. Of course that's not real.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, obviously sentient streets are way out there. That's so much more ridiculous than a sentient omni parking lot.
I just posted the wiki link to the Danny the Sentient Street, so you can actually go look. There's actually lore on it.
It's fake.
It's all fake. It's all fake.
If you come up with a genius idea, but it's already been invented, are you still a genius?
I don't know.
No,
because you may have heard of it at some point in time, and unfortunately that influenced your thing, right? So
no, I'm just gonna say I'm a genius.
Okay.
I would have said that regardless. You are a genius. An evil genius, but a genius nonetheless. If only we could harness his powers for goodliness.
We can with the butt snake.
You keep that away from me.
Don't you point that?
Like you know how like
at me.
Some religions have like a ritual like where they dunk you in some water and then some people believe that that's what saves you. So think of this like the butts. Yeah, it's a butt snake. You got to go through your butt snake, and then you'll be saved.
So the butt snake is the ritual for purification, right? This is
butt snake has a lot of meanings.
It's the purification, I think. It's the purification ritual that you have to go through so that you can enter the holy temple.
You have to check
because you need to be cleansed.
Technically, isn't the butt snake going into the holy temple in some kind?
Well, yes,
literally mineral oil.
That's why it works. That's the metaphor.
Yes, and because the process that you undergo before you go through the butt snake is you have to be cleansed of everything, right?
It's a purification ritual.
You're purifying your colon to be ready to receive the butt snake.
Sounds like the ancient cult of Glycon in Eastern Anatolia, but I won't get into that. So.
This is all
you have to be ready to receive the butt snake. Some of you just aren't ready to receive the butt snake, and that's why you don't believe. You're not ready. You have to be cleansed, and then you can receive the butt snake.
Hold on, Stags. No, Dr. Ben. The butt snake is in you already. You just don't know it.
From what the butt snake is in you. And Stephanie's also in you.
Already.
Stephanie's never been a true believer. She was never a true believer.
You're suppressing the butt snake in unrighteousness.
I'm ready for history, Pat. Where is history, Pat?
History, Pat?
Please.
History's pretty intoxicated, so what do you want to know?
That's fine.
We're talking about
butt snake.
ancient snake cults.
Ancient butt snake.
There's lots
y'all's
of snake
butt
cults
snakes
in the
have made their way. That's great. Happy for y'all. They're doing their thing. I need to know about history, Pat.
Well, there was a cult.
Tell us the history on butt snakes, please.
So, animatronic snakes in antiquity were a real thing, by the way. The cult of Glycon, which I kind of joked about, was actually a real cult that existed. It was associated with a guy known as Alexander the False Prophet, who made a puppet snake. You can find cultic images to this cult all throughout the ancient Mediterranean, particularly the Western Black Sea, modern Constanta in Romania, and there's other places in Bulgaria like Varna where the cult existed. So not to bore you with all that, but this was an actual snake that had a full set of hair, was a divinity associated with Asclepius, and also Asclepiopia, which were temples that underneath had incubation chambers where people go receive sacred healing, and then also dreams and personal oracle revelations that were interpreted by the priests that were on staff. But Glycon was a puppet, and so Alexander, the false prophet, which was exposed in his day as a fraud, but even being exposed didn't make people not believe in him. He actually grew further and more renowned after the exposure. But he carried around an animatronic snake that was a puppet that was very convincing and very lifelike for its time. And he was a ventriloquist, and he would have the snake talk and give divine oracles to people.
Tell jokes and stuff.
No, not jokes, but oracular prophecies, right? That was a big thing. You wanted to know the divine. I mean, he was his, in his day, he was the Manhattan medium. Was that the famous?
No, Long Island.
Long Island medium, right? That was what the scam was in antiquity. So, I mean, it's kind of, one of those things where people believe this shit. And to give you an example, like mechanisms that were used to convince the rubes were, if you ever read about various people in antiquity, a guy named Hero of Alexandria was an engineer. He actually wrote a huge treatise on numismatics. He was like a physicist of his day, but his side gig was building shit in temples that would make people think the gods were moving. So like he would build an altar out front that had a bladder, bronze or copper bladder in it filled with water. And as you lit the ritual fire on the altar, that heat would cause numismatic pump in the altar itself to open the temple doors so he could time it. So after the fire had been burning for a certain amount of minutes and the priest had been doing a shtick, about the time that the doors were about to open, the priest could say, "And now the gods have," and then the doors would open. Now part of his deal was he traveled throughout the Mediterranean selling his wares. And each time he had to do a better, more grandiose invention or application of his science, so to speak. One of them that he did is people wanted to, he'd make these beautiful statues of the gods, right? Cultic images, but then there'd be these small birds positioned around that were made of various forms of metal, and you drop a coin or a number of coins in, it would have a certain weight, and that was in a column that had water, and that would push air out through other smaller columns, and the birds would sing. So as you put money in, you would receive divine revelation, and people thought they were just making an offering, and then instead of actually making an offering, you were paying for a video game or animatronic. It was Chuck E. Cheese before Chuck E. Cheese. If Chuck E. Cheese was Jesus, it was Jesus with Chuck E. Cheese.
Well, he also contributed to the designs of the water into wine amphorae, right?
Right. Exactly. He did all kinds of crazy stuff back in the day. I mean, he actually, you can actually read his stuff. It's been translated. We don't have all the diagrams, so it was text based. So a lot of physicists have spent a lot of time, not a physicist, have spent some time trying to recreate some of these contraptions based off, descriptions, and they've pretty much replicated all of them to some degree or another.
Yeah. So one of the things as I was deconstructing that I found out was that pre-Jesus, the Roman Empire had devices that based on where you place your thumb or how you position your hand, that when you pour out from the device, you would either get water or wine.
And in some cases, a mixture of both, right? There was a third that would allow equal. So water into wine was no big deal when Jesus did it. It had been there, done that. It was old hat.
And I'm like, oh, that's the first miracle? It was a fucking party trick?
that anybody with a few bucks
obviously.
So we're talking Chuck E. Cheese's.
I like that. Chuck E. Cheese, where you can be a savior.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. But to people who are ignorant of that and that were legitimately poor, hearing like this beverage that gets me through my life can be produced from water. Oh, that has to be of the gods.
Right.
I could get behind thinking that way.
Yeah, and to be fair, using technology to fool people, it's only the people doing the fooling that are the assholes, because technology was so inaccessible. It's the same thing like today when someone gets their bank account hacked. It's not the person who's getting hacked, it's the hacker. And in antiquity, charlatans were a real problem in pagan, in Jewish, and in early Christian systems as well. I mean, these issues were problematic across religious I don't want to call them denominations, but religious traditions throughout the ancient Mediterranean. But the Greeks and the Romans, a lot of them did a brisk business in charlatanry. It was a known thing. And I'm a little hammered, so don't ask me for dates.
Hey, aren't we all?
Yeah, because
speaking of, this weed has stricken me with the munchies, so I'm going to go make a pot of chili at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Amen, brother.
There you go, Kyle, buddy.
There you go.
All right. Yeah.
Y'all have a good night.
Yeah.
Like Kyle.
Yeah, that's actually something I was actually very recently trying to think about, was like dating Hero of Alexandria definitively for myself, so that if I get into a conversation in the weeds about something like that, that I can be like, bam, I fucking know. Here you go. But yeah. Pat, you were saying?
I was actually pulling up some research I did on it. Let me.
Oh, sweet.
I wrote an article about
Googling I do it isn't being as decisive as I'd like.
I wrote a paper a couple years ago on it.
I have a problem with charlatans in the econ industry. People think 101 makes you an expert in monetary policy.
Yeah.
It does. Just ask Christians. They take Introduction to Theology and think they can be an apologist.
They take intro to econ, and you learn about these like very basic foundational theories that have nothing to do whatsoever with reality. In fact, like everything you learn past that is in opposition to those general principles.
True and not true. Everything after that is an explanation of all the exceptions to those rules.
Sure, which is life.
More
like, which is everything. like, find me one society in which the foundational rules of econ are the rule.
Consumer electronics would be a sector.
No.
Be in,
the country in which this exists.
Well, you have to do it by sector.
Yeah, fine.
You would have to do it by sector.
In the chat, yeah, I think it was developed almost contemporaneously, if not too long after, in China or the East, ancient Africa.
This is the problem. I put too many articles on my blog. I wrote this like in early grad school. So
you're like the American QG.
What's funny is I actually knew about the Assassin's Teapot as a believer and never thought that could have been a thing,
right?
For water and wine. As a believer, I was like, oh wait, shit.
Yeah, so ridiculous. Yeah, we all we think is the best we can date him is sometimes very late 1st century BCE through 1st century AD. That's all we got. CE. That's it.
Well, that's just as bad for a Christian, though.
Yeah, right. He's at the exact same time as Jesus.
Yeah. It's almost worse, right?
Importantly, one of his big areas of work is Alexandria, right? Which is a key Jewish center outside of Palestine. Heavily Hellenized Jews, by the way, living there, not the run-of-the-mill, quote-unquote, ultra-Orthodox that everyone tries to portray Judaism as at the time, quote-unquote, of historical, if there was one, Jesus.
Right, and predominantly centered around the temple in Judea, which is demonstrably false. And then the other thing was, so Pat, is this statement accurate? I think of Alexandria as basically the combination of 4chan, Reddit, and YouTube of the ancient Near East, where all these fucking guys that had a lot of time and money and disposable income got around, thought about shit too long, did mushrooms or whatever the hell, and then wrote shit down.
So that's fair. Please don't give that answer in class on a test, right?
No, I don't teach. I can't do that.
Right. No, but I think, and that's fair. But Alexandria was this center of Judaism outside of Judaism that was challenging Judaism. I mean, some of the tenets, right? I mean, for example, one of the big debates in the century before Christ was that Jews in Alexandria had kind of lost the ability to read Hebrew. They were relying almost completely on the Septuagint. Yes, they could get through Hebrew, but they preferred speaking in Greek because they were so Hellenized. Greek was their primary language, and Hebrew was something they learned by rote. So they learned just enough to prove their, Jewish roots. But then they did all of their, or most of their writing in Greek, all their treatises on theology in Greek. And it's kind of important to remember, like from a Palestinian Jewish point of view, Syro-Palestinian view, these people were not Jewish. And we actually have some ancient dialogues between these groups where one group is calling the other group, no true Scotsman, was going back and forth the entire time. The Jews in Alexandria said, you have to engage the Lord. Right. And so when you look at people like, again, I'm going to stop in a minute because I'll get another bit. But when
listen, Pat, we need to hear from Book of the Heathen soon. But
absolutely.
Hey guys, before you get into that, I'm calling it a night.
All right, good night.
You guys all have a good night.
Good night, Ollie. Thanks for hanging, brother.
Talk to you.
Cheers, Ollie.
Neil. All right, it was nice meeting all you guys too.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you for being here.
Everybody's dropping out now. They're like, oh God, the fucking starting stocking.
Well, no, it's 20 after 12 here, dude. I'm in Atlantic time zone, so I fall asleep.
Who's the biker pirate?
The Stoner King has gone 99.
Finally.
That is
Neil,
the
you're the
problem
biker pirate.
All right, he's gone. Let's talk about him.
Huh? What?
That is the problem with weed, though. It does make you like go memes early. That's all I'm telling you.
Literally,
DK,
if I smoke weed, I am immediately in Mimi's land. That's it. There's no social interaction for me.
I get it.
Night, bitch. Like that's it.
I get crazy hyper focused.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Paranoid. Or like
So-
everybody knows that I exist.
So back to Philo of Alexandria.
Yeah, sorry.
Back in the day.
Yeah,
Sorry, Pat.
So like when we talk about, the big guy in early Christianity, Paul, people need to understand he's not a Palestinian Jew. He's as far from Palestinian, from Jerusalem as he is from Athens, geographically speaking. He's living in today what is central southern Turkey, like along the coast, in a region that is heavily Greek. And again, if you believe Acts, which I don't believe Acts is historically reliable other than as a social commentary.
Neither do I.
Right. But if you believe Acts, then he is a citizen. And so how did Paul get a citizenship?
He's a Roman citizen.
Right. So
he's a Roman.
That in of itself, by Jews living in Palestine, can be seen as an act of cultural treason, because that would place him in a group of people associated with the state that is anti-Jewish in many ways during that period of time. So how did Paul get his citizenship? Because there's only a few ways. One, his father's father or grandfather served in the Roman army, which some Jews did, particularly Jews outside of Palestine. So that's possible. But that also means that his family fought for the state, which was obviously used to suppress other people, because that's what the auxiliaries were used for, particularly in regions that they were raised from, if he was culturally Jewish. Second, his father was wealthy enough, or he was wealthy enough to bribe some Roman statesman enough money to be given citizenship. But typically that bribe came with an additional requirement that you became the term sycophant back in ancient antiquity was spy and or propagandist for the state. You didn't just get citizenship and get go be a dissident. You got citizenship for the purpose of promoting state propaganda. So that Paul is a key instrument in Christianity as a citizen in the Roman Empire. If that's true, you need to be suspect to everything he says if you're an early Jew, because anyone associated that was associated with the anti-Palestinian Jewish movement. And the fact Paul has all kinds of problems with early Jews that are part of the Christian movement and is interpreted as somewhat anti-Jewish should tell you more than you need to know.
He specifically had big problems with James, the brother of Jesus. So there's a problem
Peter.
there.
Right. And Peter too. I mean,
and on top of that, what bothered me in deconstruction was that our earliest manuscripts are not coming from Palestine, are not coming from Judea or anywhere near that. Our earliest Christian gospel manuscripts are coming from Egypt, where
I thought you were going to say Walmart.
No,
no, it's Hobby Lobby. Last time I checked,
they're coming from Butt Snake.
Amazon.com.
They're coming a lot closer.
They're coming from
the,
Butt Snake.
The 4chan think tank than they are
famous hacker 4chan.
The actual places that Jesus was and did what he said he did, right? And so just thinking through even those simple historical details as a layperson, I'm just like, come on, like, here's these contemporaries of Jesus doing and saying the things that are like Jesus but aren't Jesus. And then my first gospel fragment, not even whole text, right? Like the whole text doesn't even emerge until way later. Late
third, early fourth century start getting complete books.
Yeah. And that's another thing that I told this to a believer that I interacted with very recently. I said, when you go to church and you hear your apologetics for these texts, you're getting a very particular historical box. And there's so much more to that box that you're not hearing. So I really encourage you to step outside of that box and listen to the actual scholars on these texts and think about them more and get more details about the ancient Near East that you're not going to get in church. And hopefully that helps them. But because that's what I was willing to do and be like, oh shit, well this is fuckety.
And I always get the question is well, what do you think? Well, I worked an entire another career before I came back to school and started studying history again. So I was in my mid 40s when I shifted into history.
Oh wow.
So so that's when I went back to grad school. So like this is still a development for me, right? But I deconstructed in my late 20s, early 30s. Yeah, late 20s.
Hey, no spoilers.
Right.
Yeah, you're coming on to your episode.
Oopsies.
So yeah, and so that was for me, you know, sitting in when I was a historian, I'm sitting there thinking, how could you like now I started learning not just that all my problems with evil, that was kind of how I deconstructed out.
Okay.
But I started going like then I started learning the historical realities. I was very Greek Orthodox, which the Greek Orthodox Church tells you, well, everything's written in Greek in the New Testament. You can learn Greek, and we keep it in the original language, so we're the true messengers of the gospel. And the reason the Catholics are bad is because they have the Pope. I mean, that's really kind of the big split, right? You know, well, and I can argue the theology and the historical reality that the Pope in Rome is a false Pope. You know, the historical reality is the first church outside of Jerusalem that was Christian was in Antioch, which was called the New Rome. Like it was on their coinage. Like Rome was a general term used throughout the Mediterranean for great city. Right? So like it was just like saying, man, that place is like LA. LA has a certain connotation, New York has a certain connotation, and we all know what that means. Like if I were to say again, Vegas is or I shouldn't use that one. Seattle is the Las Vegas of Washington, people would know what that reference means. They'd go, well, Vegas kind of sucks. But I mean, we'd all get the euphemism, right?
Seattle's much better.
I agree because I live across the bay from Seattle, so it's good.
Whoa.
But the issue being that like people knew
neighbors?
We are.
Oh shit.
So
sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the kind of thing that people in the ancient world. I didn't really start getting into that until I got into numismatics, the study of ancient coinage. I'm still going, wait a minute, these it's not the most common legend, which is the inscription, right? But it's a fairly common trope on coinage about Antioch. So I started thinking, well, if Peter's church is in Antioch, and Christians are saying this is the church that Peter built is where. So in antiquity, in the early Christian church before the 7th century, the patriarchs of Antioch claimed themselves to be one of the head churches because wait, this is the first church outside of Jerusalem. Same thing with the church in Alexandria. These other patriarchs were fighting Rome because they had theological claim. The reason we have a pope that is as strong as we do now wasn't anything that Christianity did. It was simply the Muslim conquest of Roman Syria and Israel. I mean, not Israel, Egypt. That's it. The only reason we have this issue is because, again, it was a historical reality that these patriarchal cities were conquered. And what was left at the time was Rome and Constantinople. And Constantinople is going to fall to the Ottomans, a millennia later, or about 800 years. So this is just the reality of history. And each time, subsequently, the Patriarch of Rome, who was already claiming supremacy, got reinforced each of those times.
Damn.
Get it, Pat.
More beer.
Today I learned, and I'm better for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I got a headache now. Thanks.
Yeah, sorry, bro.
Too much information at once. Sorry, guys, I missed it. I just came back. Did Pat tell us where we could find his podcast?
I don't do a podcast.
Oh, what the hell?
You'll be a YouTube channel
with Biddy Buddha and I don't know if
other folks.
Other folks, right?
For other folks.
You want to go into Pelagius?
We could. I mean, we can talk about historical realities of.
Would that be plagiarizing in it? And never mind.
Dude,
Pelagius was.
Pat is one of the most interesting people to listen to.
Pelagius and Pat will know this. Pelagius was Welshman. His name was Morgan, and Morgan means seafarer, and Pelagius is the Roman / Greek term translation of that name. He was Welshman, wound up actually dying in I believe in Alexandria, and he was a heretic of the, I believe, 4th century, I think.
Right. Well, I wouldn't call him a heretic. He was declared a heretic because he questioned several key theological concepts. And I know the Welsh claim him, and my wife might run in and hit me with a bottle or something here real quick if I do this. But I would just be saying I would claim him being British Celtic, right? Because there are a couple different groups that claim him, and we'll just give him to the Welsh for tonight, so I can have domestic harmony in my home.
Anyway, early Christianity is fascinating from the point of view of just people are going all over the place in terms of the theology, in terms of the even the stories that are accepted. It's a fascinating period of time.
I will say that
most Christians have no idea.
Exactly. Like it's hard to dunk on certain of the early Christian denominations too. Some of the early Christians were like, take Christianity, like modern Christians, they could learn a lot from early Christians. They really could, particularly first and early second century communalists. Like there are very important things to understand that most Christians were poor, and the wealthy that came in gave, if not all, but most of what they had to the church to support the poorer members. That was an attestation of faith in the early Christian church. Being poor was a tenet of the faith. Like again, whether or not you think that's good, but they were communalists. You can't really call them communists because they didn't have a governmental system. They had a theological system, but they were communalists. Which
communist means there's no state. So,
well, we can talk about that, Swede, but the communist is a modern term that had political and governmental institutions associated with it, and we can argue. We can go into government.
Here it is.
Yeah. Well, but they were communalists.
I would be interested in the discussion. Someone messaged me and was like, "I want to see an economic debate between like you and Sweden." I'm like, "Let me get sober."
Right, exactly. But no,
sorry, I'm not ready at this moment, but like I would be interested in a future discussion.
Go for the jugular, Swede. They're tired.
Discussion.
No, exactly. They've been drinking.
Oh, that's fine. You can go for the jugular, but then I will just hurt everybody's feelings.
And I will defer that economics is not my area of focus or specialization, and for that reason, I will not engage in economic discussion of a modern economic theory. And exactly, you know what? You learn from the best, right? So
I'm certainly not the best in economics. I just have a background. That's
I am.
But yeah.
Wait, who said that? Swede?
Swede.
No, I didn't say anything.
I was going to say, do you have your PhD? Hit me up. Let me know.
No, but yeah. So I think
I'm working on my PhD.
I love that. It's not a challenge. Like
I
like to learn from people that know more than me.
As much as I love to gaslight and ventriloquist, Swede, that was me that said that. I wasn't.
Wow, this Donald Glover Walmart ass bitch. How dare you? I know.
It's so good though.
I know. I wouldn't have said it except for you already said it, so I feel like
the best part is like it really sparks the little kid in me where I just like light something on fire and run away.
Oh, dude, me on Twitter.
Just light fire and sprint as hard as you can. There's no fire that burns brighter.
Well,
the one you run away from.
Jessica is the Twitter equivalent of someone who lights a bag of dog shit and throws it at your door.
That was you?
You deserve it. You deserve it. It's only at people that deserve it. Am I wrong?
Right. I agree.
Now, why didn't you use dog shit?
Because it's free.
It smells great.
But and the other thing too is some Christian churches were much more gender neutral or gender affirming than they were. Like those sects all lost out. The ones where they were appointing female apostles and bishops, they were all declared heretical. But there were churches where there was a representative collective body that was gender diverse. That it takes a couple centuries for those sects to be completely eradicated. But they fight for quite a while. And I mean, some of them are actually, some of the movements against the quote unquote heretics were violent. These churches were put out of business by the tip of a sword. So understand that, there were communities where they were trying to give certain Christian tenets that were gender equal, there were cultural biases of that period anyway, but it appeared to be more gender affirming inequality than many modern people would want to understand. Like, modern churches going, hey, we've moved a long way. I go, no, you just got back to where some early Christians were 1900 years ago.
Right.
Listen, like I am by no means a Paul like fan, but I think that he's greatly misunderstood,
right?
Like for his time and place. And I think that people think they're being progressive when in reality they're just matching a snapshot that Paul created in his time and place. Again, don't care about Paul, but I don't think that people actually understand who he was in his context.
He's got problems, but he's not as bad as people.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah, but I think that people just don't understand who he was in his context, and so they think of him in this very pejorative way, when in reality he was speaking to both Jews and Gentiles, and he was much more inclusive than anybody else in that time period.
But yeah,
I said what I said.
We'll talk about that later when I have.
He's still problematic. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying I think there's not like a holistic understanding of him.
So I think Paul's largely talking to Jews outside of Syria, Palestine, though. He's talking to diaspora.
You would know more than me for that.
Right.
Absolutely.
Paul's not targeting what we'd considered by their time period strict cultural Jews that were living in the region that was identified as being Jewish. Paul's largely talking to people that know Greek, have Greek frames of reference in addition to Jewish ones, because like, the reason he's running up to Gentiles is like, understand, Greeks, Romans, and other non-Jews in the ancient world that were living outside of Palestine, and even some in Palestine, gave Jewish people religious deference. Like you can go to temples and see where a Roman citizen who's not Jewish gave money to the construction of a synagogue. I mean, just historic reality. It's in the archaeological record. Like, and then we do have, you know, particularly outside of Palestine, we see Jews marrying Gentiles at much higher rates based on inscriptions we find. So mixed marriages were much more common in the diasporic regions than they were in this central core area. And who are you going to, if you're someone trying to share this, again, I think what Paul was creating was a synchronistic Jewish-based Greek-influenced mystery cult, right? Which was very popular in the first century CE, by the way, considering where he comes from. That you're going to have these issues where, hey, talk to the people that already know we're kind of on their side, and you know, Judaism is just something like everything else, and we have our own divine secret salvation deities, just like you guys do. And then Greeks that had Jewish friends said, "Sure, sounds good to me. I'll join up." I got to cut off my foreskin? Fuck that. And that's really all Paul cares about. Like, like, oh, well, you don't got to take off the tip, but
if they advocate for this, then they should chop it all off.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's kind of a deal breaker right there. But you know, there's the whole adherence to law, and the other thing you need to really, this is a millennialist cult that they're literally expecting Jesus to come back tomorrow.
It's a death cult.
Yeah.
You know, they're really expecting that, you know, dude's coming back tomorrow, and heaven on earth is going to occur. And you know, this is a tradition that's Orthodox Christianity obviously moved away from this, but you know, we see it today in Seventh-day Adventists and Jehovah's Witnesses, and you know, in the Mormon Church, they literally expect that Jesus is going to show up in Independence, Missouri, and Dominionist Christians today literally expect that the end times are going to happen. It's Christianity is not necessarily rational. In fact, it's completely irrational, because guy dies is coming back tomorrow. Are you fucking kidding me? And this is not the way it works. But it's been that way since the first century.
Plus, it said in the Bible that he was coming back during the time of his fucking dudes anyway.
Indeed.
Oh yeah.
I have a friend who actually, for a while, he doesn't do it anymore because he got bored doing it, had a running total on the number of days since like 64 CE that Jesus hasn't come back. It's a lot of days that Christians have been wrong.
A fair number.
Every time they
of
said
days,
Jesus coming back tomorrow, the next day they were wrong, and then he's actually done the math. I'm like, dude, you have way too much energy than I have. It's something grad students do when they're really bored and want to make a point over coffee for like 5 minutes, with some 20 hours figuring it out.
It's really going to impress some chick at Starbucks.
It seems crazy that we have to have these arguments about, about some of the fundamental tenets of Christianity at this late date, 2,000 years later. It's like, what the fuck, It's like, no, this is nonsense, and unfortunately, the nonsense is ruling altogether too many people's lives.
Yeah.
We're passing legislation today that is based on something that is patently false.
All right. Well, I'm going to dip out, but it was great. Thank you, Pat, for your history bombs and and Jess. Thank you for
your work.
And feel free to DM me on Twitter or just follow
Please.
me back
So
or
sorry,
whatever.
I'm super boomer. Did you follow me? Because I'll look for you and I'll follow you back. Okay.
I'm godless Ninamos, so I'll put it.
Okay. Yes.
You guys will all be able to hook up in
what's your Twitter? What's your Twitter handle?
Hold on, Stephanie.
Everybody will be able to follow each other when I put out my tweet. That's why I tweet and I tag everybody in it, so you can all.
But yeah, you guys are amazing.
All hold hands.
And and on my channel I recount the conversations I have with my sign. So I like to approach it without street epistemology's pretense of recording it, and I try to be as honest as possible with where I think I messed up or like how I could change in a conversation, and not hide those kind of details. And if people don't believe me, then fuck them. Like, what am I going to say, right? But like, things I think I did well too, I try to advocate for that. And I'm hoping to do another video tomorrow about the conversation I had the day before yesterday that I just tweeted about. Like what would lower your confidence? And the guy said, dying and seeing it's not true. Well, it's like, what? It's not a very good answer.
Pretty extreme answer,
yeah.
Damn.
So I'm going to talk more about that and then how the conversation went afterwards. But yeah, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much for everything you do and keeping the conversation open. And I need to get some sleep. So
get some sleep, Ninamos. Yeah. Thanks for jumping in.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Cheers, y'all. And I'll be on the Lions chat tomorrow to support you guys. So
I will be there. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
What time does the line go on, by the way? Come on, Ben, you should know this.
It's like 8 o'clock, right?
Well, I changed time zones recently, so it's 5 p.m. our time, Neil.
5 p.m.
I'm PST. That's my time.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we're all on Pacific.
It's 8 p.m. Eastern. So if we could only just go to Zulu, it would be so much easier.
Zulu.
Yeah. Coordinated Universal Time.
Yeah, it's confusing because the last time I was on the Sunday show, I was on Mountain Time because Arizona does not participate in daylight savings. So I switched time zones instead.
Traveling without moving.
Yeah, so it's just more annoying.
It's midnight Zulu.
Okay, yeah, that's not helpful. It's 5 our time.
Just saying.
Oh no, seems a little
just
early.
Get a member of the Spacing Guild. They'll help you out.
Yeah, coordinated Universal Time.
And I'm also on Talk Heathen tomorrow, so I'm doing a doubleheader tomorrow.
No, me too. So I will be on the line, and then I will be on Biddy Buddha's show. So stay tuned.
And it's gonna be.
I'm rolling dice.
It's gonna be spicy tomorrow.
Literally wherever I am. It seems at this point.
If the person I think you're referring to, Dr. Student Ben, calls in, I'll be there for you.
Oh, I
somehow or another because I remember that person.
Yeah, no, I hope he calls in.
Well, while you're here, Pat, why don't we settle on a date? Because I've got my schedule like right here.
Okay.
Nice. Look at that.
Let me pull up my calendar. I can do that.
Sure. I do Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, all at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So
I teach
5 p.m. our time.
Yeah, I teach Tuesdays, Thursdays after like 6 Pacific Standard. I'm open, and then Saturdays are completely open for me. So
why don't we do a Saturday?
Sure.
How about the 16th of April?
Sure.
Does that work for you?
Yep.
I got a thing that day.
You got a thing that day? Mike? Yeah,
well, I want exactly. He's like, I got a previous engagement.
He's got a butt snake that day.
Oh, that's on Thursday nights after the show.
Okay, it's like he's scheduling the butt snake just so he doesn't have to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to let me know in advance, Neil, if you want sober, moderately intoxicated, or somewhat intoxicated Pat, because I'm an old man now, so I have to ease into it.
I hear you.
It's a total fucking train wreck. Like I don't hear like before one show with Biddy, she's like, Pat, you got to get loose. I was really tight. We had just started the show, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go take a shot of Ouzo, and I chased it with a beer, and I was giggly like 30 minutes later. It was a big shot of Ouzo. So
brilliant. Well, what I think is the best method, but works, is we have a drinking game, the #coins drinking game. You come on, you can put one away before the show, so you can get, so you're feeling good. I could do this, that kind of thing. And then as the show goes on, every time you see the #coins, you take a drink. Right?
I like that.
You can just get
do a shot.
Get progressively drunker with everyone else.
I'm too old for shots, man. That was in my youth.
You have to do a shot every time they say coins. It'll be fine.
See, my youth was consumed by beer, and I have since moved on to
It'll work out great.
More refined products.
Well, I'll drink wine in place of beer if I don't want to feel bloated, but I tend not to go towards hard alcohol because it just, my favorite go-to is, if I want to just get shitty, because that's what it is, it's Jim Beam and Coke. A cheap, affordable, and you can, once you have your first Jim Beam and Coke, it doesn't matter what anything else tastes like after that. So you can get anything down, and you can get pretty shitty pretty fast.
Amen to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I just looked over at my glass and I'm like, fuck, it's empty.
Yeah, see, I streamed, ended up streaming 2 nights in a row on Twitch, and my Twitch has a channel point reward where they can make me do shots. So they get me pretty hammered every time I go live on Twitch.
That's a good point, Doorknob has.
Doorknob has an excellent point.
Yeah.
I'll be the first to admit, like, I don't want to have beer legs like I used to, because frankly, I'm older now, and I love my alcohol, but my alcohol takes a different point now. Like, I can have fun without it. It helps a little bit, but man, the next day, like, I feel it. Like, my wife and I, if I go out and drink like 3 or 4 glasses of wine, maybe a mixed drink, and it's midnight when I go to bed,
that day.
I'm a train wreck the next day.
Yeah.
It's like,
you can just go ahead and chalk that one up to experience, because that day is useless. Right. You're not going to be able to do anything that day.
Right.
Fair.
I've had days like that.
I think Neil and I are probably around the same age, but I'm not going to date him on the air. Yeah.
Born in 66.
All right. So yeah, when you
children.
Exactly. But I will tell you, everybody here that's hit the 50 threshold, like that was a few years ago for me, that was a big wake up. That was the, oh fuck, like, wow, like things, when they say, yeah, things start changing. You go into the doctor, you get different tests. like we're talking about the snake, right? And Ben's like, every 10 years. I'm like, well, Ben, when you get to 50, they tend to make it a little closer in time. They start going, well,
No, they don't. It's 10 years.
No, they don't. Yeah.
If you're clean,
it's 10 years unless you have a family history or you have a prior history. Otherwise, because 50 used to be the age you start the colonoscopy was at 50. Now it's 45.
Right.
But even so, if you're not gonna shorten it just after that second time you get it.
Yeah. Well,
unless you get a history.
And breast screening has the whole idea of breast screening has changed.
I'm getting one every
a whole
5
bunch
years
over the course of the past 5 years.
That's all I'm saying. And I don't want it, and I've been told I have to have it. So it's like, ugh.
You should. You don't have to, but you should.
See that?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the issue too.
You should. You should. Just because,
right? Because the problem is,
if it's caught, then chances are you won't necessarily be caught.
Right.
Maybe, but once you get to a certain age, on the other hand, you sort of start contemplating, how much time is there?
Well, there's a time when you age out of it. Like you age out of these tests. So
you age out about 65. I was told, right, Ben? For colonoscopy.
Jesus, that was 3 years ago, dude.
I think it's older than that. It's basically you age out at a point where it's not useful to screen for it because you're gonna die first before you die from cancer.
Right.
Thanks.
So you're gonna die from something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
here's Ben with the
gonna
checklist.
get you.
You're like an old Pinto. Shit's falling off you. There's no way to fix you.
That's me.
They don't make the parts anymore.
Exactly.
Pretty much.
That shop is closed.
Hybrid bud.
They do. They will replace my mechanical parts.
Yeah, you're mechanical.
Yeah, you're also young, so.
Like 2 years ago, 2019, I blew out my ACL. I did a really stupid thing. Was going down the companionway on a J24, misstepped, went ass over tea kettle, and completely blew out my ACL, MCL, and shit. And and so I go, it's like I'm in massive pain and all of this stuff, and go and have the consultation with the dude, and it's like, well, what's the situation here? It's like, well, we can do what you can do is if you're really determined, you can just do physical therapy and recover. If you build up your quads really hard, you might not be able to ski, but you can do a whole bunch of stuff. Or you could go for a knee replacement. And it's like, okay, well, what are the options there? Well, knee replacement lasts maybe 20 years and it might not work. Okay. Let's try the physical therapy route and see how that turns out. Because, if it, I'm 60 something years old, 20 years, I'm 80 something years old. So what the fuck? And it worked out, so it was all fine. But, you get to a certain point and you just sort of go, well.
That's why I stopped drinking water.
Good move. Smooth move.
I see some nuggets of wisdom, philosophical truths coming from Mikey. I think we should drill down on this.
I too have a cult.
Oh geez.
I was gonna ask
you called?
Huh? Butt snake?
No, it's not butt snake. Butt snake is the summer smash that the charts are not ready for. So I dropped the trailer this early spring.
Yeah, Mikey wrote a song.
I did.
It's more like a demo.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a scratch.
Demo,
yeah, it's not finished. Go to patreon.com. Maybe we can support. Get that goal. No, it's not.
It's more than 30 seconds of recording time.
Is there anything like a Kickstarter that is directed for bands out there, like maybe music Kickstarter or something?
There's like Fiverr.
Yeah,
there's what?
Fiverr.
What the hell's that?
Fiverr is when they people will job out things that they want done by professionals. Like, it's mostly musicians, so they'll be like, hey, I have some sheet music and I need a fucking really good bass player to play this. Can you play this? And they say, yeah, for $20. They play it and they send them the tracks.
Wow. Wow.
I guess that's kind of an interesting.
It's like it's a la carte studio musicianship.
No.
I'm kind of
get all kinds of stuff on there. It's not just musicians.
Oh, is it? Okay. I only knew about through the music part.
You can get like writers and voice actors and artists and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Get someone to put your IKEA furniture together too.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I would totally pay somebody to do that.
But will they do it at home?
I mean, people put it on there. I don't know if they actually do it.
I would hire somebody to do that.
Can I go on there and offer to like build people's Lego? Is that possible?
Only if it's Star Wars.
I never understood that, like, people put their stuff together. Like, I like doing that part. Like, that's the good part. Fucking put a movie on.
Sure.
Smoke a bowl, eat an edible. Me and this fucking nightstand are about to have a good time for the next hour and a half.
Put a movie on. Afterwards, you're like, wait, didn't look like this in the instructions.
Well, there's all those. They always send extra pieces.
Neil, in one of my discussion groups, we had to talk for class. We had to talk about different things, and I brought up your example of how black markets form.
My example?
Yeah, of the Star Wars.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Because the Millennium Falcon Lego set is $800, which makes it unaffordable for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So a black market forms to try and, but your quality control in the black market is non-existent. Would be a way to put it.
That's why it's black
Only
market.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but Star Wars is fucking awesome. That's all I can tell you.
Star Wars is fucking awesome.
Star Wars is awesome.
The jokes and laughs are worth every dollar you spend on it.
That's right.
Yes.
It's an investment.
You invested in all of our happiness, and we thank you for it.
Fuck you guys.
Same thing with Butt Snake. I know it was meant for like your health, but it also gives us immense joy to talk about Butt Snake. So thank you, Neil, for letting us have fun at your expense.
At my expense.
And it's an everlasting regret that it wasn't on OnlyFans. I mean,
and next time,
fucking shame. That was a loss. That was a loss.
Okay, so Pat said that he was next on the list for the Butt Snake. So we got to make sure that we got to do it right this time. We got to set up the live stream ahead of time. We got to pick who's going to narrate. Seth, we got to call up Seth Andrews, get him to narrate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And now we're gonna I think someone should volunteer to do Butt Hydra. I mean, one snake. I mean, we need to up a game.
Ooh. How many? See, this is the new challenge.
Extra
like, how many
that.
butt snakes can you take at one time?
Oh.
I really need to see it
Jessica
from
woke
that
up.
many
She's like,
angles.
"Hey."
And that raises some questions about medical ethics there.
I'm arguing about SJ on
Dr.
Twitter.
Ben.
You know what I mean?
Seriously, come on now.
Sorry, I'm busy.
Does it go into negatives for how many butt snakes?
No, you cannot have negative butt snake.
I don't know. I had a lot of bread yesterday.
You had so much bread that you pooped out a camera?
Yes.
Yikes.
It's whole grain.
You're welcome, Bree. Yeah, a positive role model. Yeah. As the worst part is the prep. It's the prep. Pat, like, shut up.
It's
Seriously,
bad. It's
Look
bad.
at Jessica. She's typing,
so easy
and her head's bobbing as she's typing. She's having an argument with. Yeah, look, because if you were watching, she's like, she's typing angry on Twitter.
Nailing SJ to the wall. Sorry, I'm very busy at this moment in time.
But if you were watching her, she was like,
it's a PSA. You know what I mean?
Breaking her phone.
Sorry, had to do it. Sometimes you gotta whack those bigots as they come up.
Oh dear.
All right, let me get the screen share going.
Ooh, are we gonna listen to Butt Snake?
So I actually want to ask a really boring question to Swede. So what are you working on for your research for your dissertation? I mean, I always find economics interesting. I don't claim to understand it. But
I am just starting, so that is still a discussion with me and my advisor.
Cool.
There are two paths that I want to explore taking. Obviously, research grant money determines what will be
I get it.
Picked for me. I'm learning very quickly that you don't choose what your dissertation is going to be on at all.
It chooses you.
It chooses you.
No,
Tons of mines.
The capitalist complex of people who give grants choose what research they want done.
Right.
Sorry, Swede.
That's a doctoral dissertation in and of itself, right there.
Sorry, I'm just curious where you are.
Omaha.
Okay. That's all. No
Tons
reason.
of Mice has a great dissertation idea.
Omaha is as close as I'll get. I am not actually in Omaha, but I prefer my anonymity on the old internet.
Are you a mutual of Omaha?
He is.
Yeah. Never mind.
Yeah, their headquarters is pretty impressive.
It would be Nebraska. Somewhere in Nebraska.
I am somewhere in Nebraska. So, yep.
I won't be looking for you. So
that's
just curious.
No, and I do that because I work for a very well-known investment bank right now.
Yeah, fair enough. I used to work in finance as well, and I did the same thing. Yeah.
And essentially, if my stuff ever got out, I'd probably lose my job. So,
I'm just glad there's no face recognition software that is readily available to private companies now.
Yeah. So, I mean, they know
they can hire me.
That I talk.
Yeah, I recognize that guy
and stuff, and they don't care about that. But when the fact that they have several broker dealers underneath them, and I am duly registered with most of them, anything that could be construed as giving advice is obviously illegal, and that's why I try to throw the disclaimer every time I say anything regarding finance, but sometimes
nobody listens.
That's why no one should ask him financial advice questions.
Seriously,
that's dude, I would be
because he might answer on accident.
No, not even that. I was freshman year, economics, and people would be like, "So, can you tell me what to do with the stock market?" What the fuck I look like? Like, no.
Economics has nothing to do with the stock market. B, if you want that, you have to go into corporate finance.
Hello.
C, you have to be able to learn how to read financial statements.
Well,
I was just like, yes, I just did this.
I want to learn about the stock market. That's why I went into ancient religions, so I can learn magic. So magic in the stock market seem to be parallel systems: ancient magic and the modern stock market.
I mean, my old pal Duncan Black, aka Atrios, he has a degree in economics, and his whole thing is it's the dog track, the stock market. It's like, the fuck. No.
I mean, that's an overly simplistic.
It is very overly simplistic, but in so many respects, it's just it's a market. You place your bets.
You place your bet, but also looking back, you can see exactly why the market acted the way it did.
Sure.
It's not a completely random. It's not a roulette wheel. It's not a randomized.
No,
event.
It's not a total casino, but there are casino-like elements to it, I would say. No?
No, because the amount of information is imperfect. And when you're in a casino, they have to tell you your odds of winning and everything else like that. With entering the stock market, there are things you don't know. There is non-public material information that these companies have that they cannot release unless they publicly disseminate it by, a press release outside of market hours, just so that everybody can have it before things happen. And so that there's an element to it, and that's why insider trading is illegal.
Boring.
But yeah,
see, I didn't know anything. I don't know anything about money, so I decided to go watch people get butt snakes instead.
Hell yeah! I mean,
well,
what?
Did someone say butt snake?
I did.
And on that note,
all sorts of people are saying butt snake. And that's
hashtag butt snake.
Hashtag butt snake.
I don't know. Where I find, anyway, to answer your question from a long time ago, the two areas that I would love to go into are minority reparations.
Love it.
And the other is I really want to get into the interplay of why velocity of money has fallen so fast since 1999 and the reasoning behind why velocity has basically tracked down so much that the increase in supply has nothing to do with inflationary effects today.
Can we talk?
Are we talking modern monetary theory at this point?
No.
Like, I'm interested in hearing more about these topics. It's been a while since I have thought about them in depth because when I got out of school, I was like, but they are very interesting to me.
So for everybody's edification, velocity, let's just use the time period of a year, is however many times a dollar goes through the economy in 1 year. Mm-hmm. So if velocity is 1, all the money in circulation goes through, or the value of all the money in circulation goes through once per year. It equals GDP basically. So yeah, that's essentially what that is. Now, velocity at one point in 1999 was 2.2, and today it's fallen clear to 1.3, 1.4, something like that. And that's a precipitous drop. That's almost cut in half. A little bit of that has to do with the increase in money supply, but not all of it. And so getting into that and understanding the other one is obviously, if you've taken econ, you know that consumer preferences are usually stable. Well, they haven't been over the last year.
Sure have not. Can't imagine why that would be, but
so sweet.
Well, and it's on a broad category basis, they're stable.
Right.
Like goods and services, you can pretty much plot those out. Well, goods and services basically exchanged themselves right after the pandemic hit because everybody needed new capital goods for their home. Well, they needed new computers, they needed webcams, they needed hard asset purchases to facilitate their ability to do their jobs.
And a whole bunch of people were excluded from that exchange.
Absolutely.
Not only that, but services went out of favor. So going to the movies, going out to eat, going, where
a lot of those people were left by the wayside.
Yes, they went out of I don't know, popularity is not the right word. Sorry, I've had too many drinks.
But also the preference changed.
Yeah, the shift in quote unquote services went from I'm going to go to the movies to I need someone to deliver groceries to my house because I can't go to the grocery store.
Right.
It's a weird sort of, there's a lot of change going on. I would argue maybe some recategorization, but definitely
by the time I start
shift
on research, my guess is either consumer preferences will go back to where they were before and they will remain stable but we'll have this interesting blip of why they don't remain stable in event-driven economy.
And so wow, this is fascinating. I can get into this. I should not drink beer next time.
It's the weekend,
right? But there's this interesting issue too with, as far as velocity goes, with wealth gathering, and we're talking about the 1%, right? And we're talking, but it's not just people; it's entities that are companies, right? That are and entities maintaining stockpiles of cash. They're effectively becoming their own reserve banks for all intents and purposes.
Well, when you say entities, who do you mean?
Corporate entities, and then banks.
You can only hold so much cash on your books before you get heavily penalized as a C corp
in the United States. But then they offshore. This is the other issue: is offshoring assets.
There's a lot. Well, no, because that all that's consolidated accounting. So that cash still shows up on your balance sheet, and if you hit the ratio, you get penalized heavily with the tax on that. So,
Mikey, your game was coming through.
Oh no.
Yeah, I muted it. It's okay.
Okay.
I do. Dornai was right.
So the question is, are they hiding things illicitly in areas that are?
I wonder.
Me and Stags are hiding
less than savory. And the obvious answer to that is, of course they are, because anytime a government regulation or restriction goes up, a black market will form.
Indeed.
It's the same. Now you just have to accept that as a consequence of regulation. That has no bearing on whether we should regulate, because we just 40 some years ago we regulated away from the biggest mass poisoning event in human history, lead in gasoline. Neil, your you and Stephanie, you guys are victims of corporate greed, paying for doctors to say that leaded gasoline had no effect on the general populace.
Oh, don't we love
true.
it?
And it doesn't.
If you want a scary story about that, go read up on what's called the funny room.
I don't.
I've read it.
Y'all want to hate your life? Go read that story.
Yes,
So
funny.
good.
I mean, there are tons of reasons for me to hate my life, but I choose to kind of embrace
relatable.
it.
But yes.
The funny room is where people went crazy because of lead exposure, because that's where they were mixing lead with the gasoline.
Yep. My dad worked in the oil industry for 40 years. So, yeah. The things that the United Chemical and Petroleum Workers Union he was a member of got exposed to.
Yeah.
Like, he and the company they got to the point in the early 2000s, they just started writing guys checks. Because they knew.
Don't even ask anymore.
Nope. Mm-mm.
Yeah, and I'm heavily involved with the energy sector too, and it's interesting because I don't regret at all helping drill oil, because I know half of the products that come out of that make like modern medicine possible. My heart valve is half petroleum product.
Right.
Indeed, it's the problem with the petroleum industry is the fact that we burn a lot of it.
Fuel usage is a different story.
Right.
If we went to a jet fuel only economy because we had electric vehicles, and electric planes probably will never be economical. Just because of the weight of the battery.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But
we'll see.
if we went to that where only airplanes were generating fossil fuel waste into the air, we would probably very easily be able to go to a negative carbon.
Well, it'll be a long time from now, but there will come a day when batteries will be light enough that you could feasibly do that, but we're a long way from that.
It'll be interesting if they can get the energy density high enough, because that's the thing, is the energy density of petroleum is, I mean, it's
real good.
Probably top 5 of energy density, BTUs. So you have to match
kerosene is a wonderful fuel.
And to put that in perspective, it's orders of magnitude less for a lithium-ion battery.
Mm-hmm.
But it has the side benefit of being rechargeable, and that's when we're talking about waste per unit. I mean, I again, the environmental issues on this are just massive, right? Like, and then lithium batteries right now, just so you guys know, all you. Like, they're really toxic to the environment. This is one of the problems is we haven't figured out. Lithium-ion batteries are going to be revolutionizing the future if we can deal with the toxicity. This is the nuclear waste issue, right? Yeah. Like this, it will
extraction too, not just waste, but extraction.
Extraction is a big problem.
Yeah.
Go look at the lithium mine in Bolivia, and you will see a huge hole in the environment.
Or people just improperly disposing of their lithium-ion batteries, right? Like people just go, "Oh, I can just throw it away." No, you cannot.
Yeah.
Like, please don't.
And one of the big things that people don't realize is that coup in Bolivia was caused by the CIA because of access to that lithium mine.
Oh, come on. The COAAF only has positive and egalitarian motives.
No.
If you want a great book to read Confessions of an Economic Hitman. It's probably one of the most eye-opening books that you'll ever read.
Yeah, just make sure you have like a drink or like, I don't know, 5.
And then the other one is Serpent on the Rock.
I got us covered there, Neil.
Is probably one of the best finance books out there that will teach you just how.
They're incredibly good.
So the main character
because
in
they're
Serpent
so
on
good
the Rock,
and true.
The main character in Serpent on the Rock and I have the same exact job right now. So I am in his exact position where I'm deciding what actually gets on the shelf for advisors and for others to use.
Wow.
And that's half of my job, along with doing economic forecasting. So
I used to do that.
Wow.
It's yeah. So his testament, I mean, he's the reason we had the Tax Reform Act of 1986. But yeah, he used to take bribes, $50,000, to approve a product and this, that, and the other thing. And obviously they were all tax shelters and they all were scams. But yeah,
it's not a myth. There's actually all throughout the ancient world, there was issues with lead in the wine.
Oh yeah.
Paging Professor Pat.
The answer is yes. And poor people experience less lead poisoning than rich people because rich people could afford metal to drink out of. And poor people were stuck with.
I heard lead toxicity.
Yeah.
And now I'm back in the conversation. You talking about anemia yet?
No. The lead that was in the wine of even going as far back as the ancient Egypt. Egyptians.
Sideroblastic anemia.
There you go.
I thought you were talking about the System of a Down album, which was their best, I think.
See, I contributed. There we go.
More beer.
This is the downside of having. This is the downside of like having a very narrow field of study. I'm only useful in like one context.
Well, yeah, I'm finding that out too in the conversations with my advisor. Like, he's like, if you want to do reparations as a topic, we're actually only going to be able to concentrate on one subset of one minority of one time period.
Coming, dude.
And it'll be like a decade that you'll concentrate on.
Right. Mm-hmm. And advisors have so much control over research too. That's what I'm finding out.
Because here's really the conversation, and here's why, is because people think about reparations, you just attach a dollar amount to the labor that was stolen. Well, that's not the way to do it. Is I have to go in and figure out, well, what was the population stratification for jobs? There were so many doctors, lawyers, and that. So if it was truly equal, the minority population would also be stratified in the same way. So what would have their wages have been had they been living in a free society with a true stratification across the board? It's not just the value of the labor that we stole, it's the value of the opportunity cost of what they could have been providing society.
On contrary, Swede, if you're trying to lowball that number, it's definitely the first one. If you're trying to actually make reparations equitable, then it's the second number. I think you need to revisit your, if you're on the right side, first model, you're on the left side, second model.
The other problem is okay, now we have a number. What do we do with it?
Right.
And
so what you're going to do is you're going to take out your checkbook, and how it works is my name goes to pay to the order of.
Is MMT can't handle a once written check like that. Not even MMT can account for that.
No.
What about direct deposit?
MMT
being, I don't have that bank.
Being modern monetary theory.
Thank you.
No, I don't have
MMT. You're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. There's no silver bullet there.
The question is what type of capital investment goes directly to, and then who runs it? Community organizations, obviously made up of members of the community. They're the ones that decide how those work, access to capital, all these other things that should happen. But until HR 40 actually gets some support, I don't think there's going to be a lot of traction. But I think work within the story behind what was stolen from those people, and then then stepping back and letting the members of that community take that information and use it for activism would be really cool. Whether my name's attached to it or not, I don't really give a shit. But the question is who's going to get the grant money for that one?
I'll take it.
It gives me the warm fuzzies that there's somebody out there
even
thinking about this.
exists.
Thank you.
I mean, if it even exists, if the
there are eccentric old rich people who would probably be more than happy if they knew somebody was going to do that, and my cousin being one of them, who is Sandy Lerner. If you don't know her, she started Cisco Systems and Urban Decay.
Oh,
yeah.
No, NBD, right?
No big deal.
No big deal, right? Yeah. Can you?
So I mean, I could hit her up for grant money for this, but I don't know whether this is an area where she cares about, because she's mostly into animal activism. So all of her money goes into animal. When she dies, goes to animal activism. It's hundreds of millions of dollars of endowment.
I'm an animal.
Yeah. You know what I mean.
I'm joking. Yeah, sorry. I'm like full of bad jokes all the time.
She
but you know, part of the curious thing about this whole thing is that it's folks like us, white. Let's face it, at least in America, it's folks like us who are making those decisions, are going to be the people that are going to make these bequests, become involved in these in these areas. It's, you know, we still have the pen in hand to make these decisions. And at the end of the day, the people who've been robbed in the past don't have any claim aside from a moral claim. I mean, I sail with these people. They're not bad people. They're good people. They want to do the right thing, but
well, I even
there's no framework for there's no framework, and you know, most of the people that I pal around with are not legacy are legacies, actually. You know, it's like Rockefellers and those guys. And what we're seeing today is are the systems that are still in place benefit those people more than anyone else. I mean, so we continue to allow Elon Musk, and you know, it's hard not to personify the concentration of wealth. When
the question is how do you get them to want to pass their wealth outside of their heir situation?
They usually get there when they're later in life and want to do other things. That's how the Rockefellers progressed. That's how Carnegie progressed.
But they still have the money.
But they still have the money. And the problem is how do you address this systemically? First of all, don't let them have the money in the first place. You know, it's like, how do you do that?
But it's a situation where, like, the Rockefeller family doesn't pay inheritance tax because each individual Rockefeller has, quote unquote, no money, but the Rockefeller.
I understand that. I know several of them personally. No, I've had conversations with them personally over cocktails.
Yeah,
it's no, that's the thing. The cultural thing is really quite serious. Yeah. They're not bad people.
In the Illuminati?
They're not bad people. They're really honest to God, they're not bad people. They don't.
They're contained within a system that makes.
They're contained within a system. It's stuck.
It's the system's problem. Number one, if you fix the system, you actually fix. It's just like jobs. We have, out of the number of 160 million jobs that we have, probably only 75 million of them are actually needed. They actually produce something of value in society, like farmers, welders, plumbers, electricians. I mean, those are the people that actually add value to the world.
Producers.
Insurance claims person doesn't, their job is to make sure the insurance company doesn't pay a claim. So, all those jobs that we have, so when people say, well, in communism or socialism, I wouldn't work because I wouldn't have to. And it's like, it's because you're contained within the system line of thinking that teaches you that work is soul draining, and creates a lot of people's lives into just a mere existence. They're working 12, 14-hour days, or even if they're only working 8, they have to commute 1 or 2 hours to that 8-hour job. And so their job really does take up 14 hours out of their day, and they only get paid for 8. And so they're just existing. They're not living.
Yes.
They're working.
Yeah, well, it's the secret to success is enjoying it. That's what I always say.
And enjoy that butt snake.
That's actually a problem. Is us telling people that, because we're conditioning them to accept the system itself as to, I should find a way to enjoy this career that I have, instead of.
If that's how you want to look at it, I'm not looking at it from that angle. I find something that I wouldn't wake up every day going, fuck, I got to go to work. I want a job where I wake up and go, all right, another day's coming. Let's get this shit done. And like what I do, because I like what I do. To me, that is enjoying your success.
And I do too. I love allocating resources. I mean, that's in the essence of what an economist does. That's what we try to do, is efficiently allocate resources. And that would still exist in a communist society.
Getting paid enough and not overworked really helps.
Yeah, that's true. Guilty.
so sometimes the problem is we even think about getting paid.
Right. I mean, there's a difference between compensation and enjoyment. I mean, if the compensation isn't sufficient to provide even a baseline level of
you're not going to enjoy that
of comfort, how much enjoyment can you derive? I mean, you can love the fuck out of what you do, but if you're not getting enough to live, there you are.
And there are the jobs that obviously a lot of people won't want to do. But the fact of the matter is you can spread those jobs out over a whole bunch of people if you cut out 75 million useless jobs.
Yeah.
And the people,
you only had to work 2 days a week.
You need to keep in mind the people that are performing those so-called useless jobs, because those people are going to need to live.
And that's where you get into the society of where you try to get away from a currency to begin with.
Star Trek.
But again, that's a project of projects, and I hate getting into that because I'm an ANSIN. So my goal is to get to the point where the workers have all the rights and all the power, and then go from there.
That's a good start.
Oh yeah.
Fucking Marxist.
No, I'm not a Marxist. I'm an anarcho-syndicalist.
Get it right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even know what that word is.
Marxism
I'm
is
a butt
completely different.
snakeist.
Marxist-Leninism is completely different. Maoism is different.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's why I was like, communism at the base level has a definition. Now, if you want to talk about the different variations, you have to actually.
Well, and people
I have tears in my eyes.
Marx wasn't an economist. He was
the vapors! I've got the vapors now.
The fact that like the only time I ever hear Marxism is when some Republican is like, "This is Marxist bullshit," and I'm like, "Bitch, you've never read Marx, okay? Like you haven't even picked up."
They all just killed.
The Swede is going to the bookshelf. There we go.
I know, and that's why I'm like tears.
But again,
and by the way, Marx is a dumbass,
hot
except for his critiques of capitalism. I think every other place, Marx is an idiot.
That's fine. Like I don't.
I
Have
would
any
agree
issues
with that.
It's just like somebody that is actually aware, like because it's like Republicans. Sorry if you're a Republican, but Republicans that are like Marx bullshit. Or not even Republicans, but like Christians that are also Republicans, and they're like, "This is Marxism," and I'm like, "Y'all worship Jesus?"
Well, the reason why is because Marx had the opiate of the masses comment.
Sure. Yes.
And in the 1950s, the greatest propaganda decade ever, Joseph McCarthy created this system that we still perpetuate today. In that it teaches us what communism was supposed to is the Soviet Union, this godless society, which scares to death this Christian society that we live in.
I really want to push back just slightly on that historical meme because it wasn't the 50s. I mean, the 50s, yes, Joe McCarthy had that stuff. But I want to focus a little bit more on the 20s.
Well, the 20s and 30s, yeah, with the bombings and the anarchists and everything else.
Because socialism, the big controversy of the particularly the middle 20th century. Post World War I, when the European order collapsed and got fucked. The big controversy there. That's when the ideological conflict between capitalism and communism came into focus. And in the United States anyway, and all throughout the world, there was this pushback against socialism.
It was the second 1848 was the 20s. The second springtime of nation.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I was only around for the first one.
Thank you. Exactly right. That's exactly right. The focus on the 50s is misguided because a lot of that shit got put on hold during World War II.
The 20s was successful and 1848 was not, is because the governments were collapsed in the 20s. They didn't have
any money
military to go crush the uprising. Well, number one, but number two, worker revolts were still. I mean, the one in Colorado where they basically surrounded the encampment at the mines and machine gunned the entire workforce to death.
I would say that if you look at 1950s on this debate, you're 70 years too late. You need to go back to the 1880s. That's really where we start seeing the heavy industrialization.
Yeah, and that's where the Republican Party went away from being socialist.
Correct. And when you look at that divergence, in Reconstruction was not necessarily a pro-individual. The Reconstruction movement actually had a lot of negative ramifications that reinforced capitalism as we know it today too. So when we see this, like the 1880s, the early attempts at unionization, they weren't called unions then; they were just like worker interests,
syndicates.
right? Yeah,
they were called worker syndicates,
right? And so when you look at these, and you see the early union attempts at unionization and the crushing oppression of, in this case, capitalistic governmental systems, because they were working in unison. When by the time we get to the 1950s, socialism doesn't have a chance in the United States. Like it's already a done deal. It was just if we're going to have a few social programs at that point. Like there was no, I agree that it's really important, but the United States is diametrically opposed to the word socialism, but has constantly been trying to include additional elements of it but calling it a democratic, governmental, if you want to call it benefit. But the word socialism just scares the shit out of them. It really does, even though that's been the battle since the 1880s.
It's the boogeyman.
Y'all like roads? Y'all like
thanks both of you for pushing it back, because too many times it's like, oh well, this all changed with Ronald Reagan. No, it didn't. It didn't change with Ronald Reagan. It didn't change in the 1950s. The pushback against progressive and social consciousness started ages ago, especially in the context of American history. Especially in the context of American history and the discussion of racial equality and all sorts of pieces of equality, and people just simply do not take all of this into consideration. It's like, why do you think that the 50s were revolutionary in terms of the second Reconstruction? That was economic.
The reason I bring up the 50s is because that's when the Taft-Hartley Act really got into swing, and all the workers' rights, basically, that were fought for and won in the 20s, were erased with the stroke of a pen.
Yeah, I mean, I want to bring student Dr. Ben back in
too.
But a perfect example of what happens is with the medical practices from the 1800s forward. Community doctoring was a real thing. Communities hired a doctor. State taxes, if you want, or county taxes, however you want that system, as depending if you were in a territory or a state, right? Those governmental monies were used to lure or entice doctors to set up practices that were governmentally funded initially, and then minimum payments were made by community members on a sliding scale of ability to pay to support any gaps that were in that income, were then made up by, again, governmental monies. So now that we have private, and what changed was the introduction of private hospitals. And now we have private systems. All the state hospitals, there were a lot of state hospitals in the 1900s, early 1900s, 1910s, 1920s, and those are all gone now for the most part because of privatization.
What we need to do is send it up to Neil because he wants to go to bed.
Okay. He does.
Anyways, guys.
The crawl. Anyways, guys.
Neil, I would like to add that it was me that.
I'm aware.
Duly noted. Sweet.
Guess it's not getting added to my thank you tweet tonight.
Great conversation, but I like it.
Yeah, it's true. But if it wasn't
tell Cersei it was me.
If it wasn't as laser was for me, then I would continue to do it. But I do appreciate you coming on the show tonight, Jen.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're so welcome. I've just been sitting here listening to economic
nerds.
But yeah, I had a great totally
you
on
nerds.
my forehead.
So do I. So you guys want to talk about Star Wars now, or we're done? Okay.
Oh, I've never.
I think we're done. I really, honestly.
I'm not a nerd. You're the nerds.
Yeah, only nerds with.
All right, you flock of nerds, myself included. We'll talk about Star Wars another night, which will be coming up on Tuesday. I've got Dr. Del Rey from the
Recovering from Religion.
Yes, which I always link in the bottom of these interviews on the interviews and the after parties have links to that. So people that need some help with that, you can always go down there. And so Dr. Dre will be my guest for Tuesday, 5:00 p.m. Of course, Pacific time. Specific time, as I would
specific.
But anywho, thank you guys out there in the chats on Twitter, Twitch, and of course here on YouTube. Not that there is a actual chat on Twitter, but you can still watch it and make comments, I guess. But anywho, thanks to all my wonderful patrons. Without you guys, this show is not a possibility. And thank you guys for jumping in here with Heathen Queen and Mikey and myself.
Hi.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I've been looking forward to getting to know you a little bit and a little bit better. And,
hope I didn't disappoint, yeah?
No, you did not. This will be one for the ages. All right. So that's about it, guys. So until next time, like I always say, after the after parties, like the late great Carl Sagan once said, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye. Nice meeting you all. Bye.
Happy birthday to me, 42.
Butt steak.
Old. King Randolph would say.